podcast. And man, do we got a big one. I am the Superman fan.
No, that was mine.
Travis still.
Oh, I'm the Krypton Kyle Smith.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Alliteration.
True.
I'm the fussy Tyler Briggs.
Oh, fussy, right?
I thought of it first time. Superman!
You did not think it first. We both thought of
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a cast that has been talked about and waited for a long time. We're going to make you wait just a second longer because to do a few little promotions, if you like comic stuff, this Saturday there will be a Punisher review. I'm not sure who will be on it, but we are going to watch all Punisher. We're going to binge it really quick and get it out for you guys. Hunka is back, and we've already talked to them. They love Justice League. So maybe you don't agree with some of our opinions there. They've been loving that movie.
They usually differ from us wildly.
Yeah, they think it's 100 times better than Thor Ragnarok. So
100 times.
Yeah.
One mathematically. Stop doing
Stop
that.
doing it.
I know I'm not.
I
am trying to do it.
And then next week, obviously, this is a DC cast, but whatever. Next week, our Marvel retrospective starts. We're reviewing every MCU movie up until Ant-Man. We reviewed the rest, so check those all out. But now, if you haven't guessed by our title, if we haven't guessed by the names, we're getting right into it. I'm not gonna stall. I'm not gonna keep talking. No, I just want to keep stalling. Justice League is here.
That was like a Flash level joke.
It was 100%. Justice League is here. We are ready to review it. If this is the first time you've joined our cast, we do a non-spoiler review. We get some thoughts out that don't spoil anything. We don't talk about too specific items as far as the movie goes, and then we'll give you a spoiler warning, and we're going to jump right into it. And I think there's going to be a lot of big breakdown discussion because this was quite the film.
Quite the film, yeah.
Who wants to take it?
Tyler Briggs. Boom.
You know, it was.
That was good.
It was all right. It was all right.
Oh.
There was I liked it more than I thought I would.
Cool.
But I wouldn't say it's a great film.
Okay.
There were some really cool moments, really good. Some of the action scenes were really good. The CGI I found, which was like one of the key things for me. Like if they screw up the CGI and it looks bad through the whole film, then it's ruined completely.
CGI.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways.
Are you alluding to something? Or
Yeah, Wonder Woman. You didn't like the end of spoilers. Didn't like the end of Wonder Woman because too much CGI for you.
That's some good memory you got there, man.
I don't remember that. Right on.
I wasn't there.
But yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. Another thing with like Cyborg's look, I thought it held up pretty decently. Like it didn't stand out as like being awful to me.
Okay.
So that was good.
Bold opinion.
Alright,
I think Dilmus doesn't agree with you. I get the vibe.
No.
Music for me didn't stand out at all. I don't think I really noticed anything. The only thing that I noticed was when Wonder Woman had her scene at the start, the intro scene. That was the only time I noticed the music at all. Other than that, just like completely behind the scenes.
It was a loud movie, right? It kind of overpowered the soundtrack.
I got scared a couple times, to be honest, on the sound effects. Like that one moment when the parody even popped up, like minor spoiler, I legitimately jumped. I was like, Jesus.
That's not a spoiler.
Well, it is. They're going to be like, oh, a parody even jumped. I said, I'm not a spoiler. Oh, God. But yeah, so.
Well, I thought they only flew.
I mean, overall, if you like DC movies, then you should probably go see it. If you like comic book movies, if you like comic book movies in general, I definitely think it's a good movie to see like for free on Netflix or
for free.
some other streaming service. I don't know if you need to go see it in theaters, but
would you recommend a Cheap Tuesday even?
Yeah, I think I'd recommend a Cheap
that's
Tuesday.
not bad.
That's good.
So I think it was good enough. It's not as nearly as good as Wonder Woman, but I think it's better than. I don't want to say better than DC needed, but it's going in the direction that DC needs it to go.
They got someone to the plate. They didn't strike out. You're saying? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They're working on it. They're still warming up.
Yeah,
They're just getting ready.
It's been fucking almost like 7 years, and they're still warming up.
They've got 2 outs. They've got 2 bases loaded. But I mean, if they strike out again, then I mean, it's all for naught.
Well, I guess we'll wait till we get around. I think they got a lot more strikeouts than Briggs is letting on.
All right.
I'll take over next. It seemed to me that this movie was like abundantly clear that there was multiple people with their hands in the cookie jar, as I said to Travis earlier. Like it definitely seemed like a little bit messy and confusing, and like it didn't really have like a cohesive flow to it, I guess. That being said, I still think it had some good moments. I actually really liked some of the action, and there was a lot of CGI in this movie, and for the most part it worked for me. Cyborg, not so much. I didn't really like his look, but the thing that surprised me and I think Travis will double on this later, is that I actually ended up liking some characters that I wasn't expecting. So I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But I liked some characters more than I thought it was, and disliked some that I thought I was gonna like more. So it wasn't really what I was expecting, I guess. The story itself was quite simple, and I don't know, it feels like a bit disconnected. Like they kind of introduced like a theme at the start of the movie, and then they kind of forgot about it, but then they brought it in at the very, very like last scene. So I don't know. We'll talk about that more in the spoiler section, but overall, I don't know. It wasn't that bad. I think it was. I'd have to think hard to think about where I'd place it next to like BVS and stuff like that. Yeah. But overall, I don't know. It had some fun to it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Kai, you've not been on GeekVerse official since Guardians, way back. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
So it's been quite a while. You've been on
Years
some retros
ago.
and stuff,
Yeah,
and Stranger Things, but you're not been on this. So obviously, Guardians. You know, you quite liked it. Did you quite like this movie?
I went into this movie meh. Like, didn't know what to expect, so I didn't have high expectations. I didn't have low expectations. I kind of just went, let's see where this movie goes. And then I came out of it and like, it exactly did what I thought it was. Just wasn't crappy, and it wasn't like the best movie. It was just all right for myself. So I feel like if you enjoyed the DC universe, like Tyler said, that you'll really enjoy this movie. I think there's a lot of parallels or a lot of comic book throwouts in there that you'll quite enjoy in little tidbits. But if you're kind of just on the fence, if you weren't like a big comic book person, I don't think that this movie would have been really
I don't
good
think
for
so.
you.
I think if you don't like comic book movies, this is not the one for you.
Yeah,
No.
like
This was super comic booky. Like
it was very
basic.
which is like cool to have. You know, we've seen Marvel do it before. I guess I shouldn't be comparing DC.
Oh, you can. I hate that fucking thing. They're two popular comic book things. Like you can't compare them. God damn. This week has been brutal.
You can go like more compared to like, you know, when you watch more of like the Dark Knight Rises and the Christopher Nolan series, it's more like you felt like you were watching like a cinematic film. More with,
that's a big put down.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're about to say next, but you're watching a huge cinematic film, and then
this was like
I like that startup.
yeah. Dylan, I think
the thought.
Dylan really hit it. It was just like there's a lot of things going on, and they didn't really go with one theme. They're kind of just jumping around, and you could definitely tell there was different people involved with this. And I think if they really put more cohesiveness and like working of what their end goal was going to be, and actually had one leader specifically doing it all, then it would make a better film. But at this point, the ride was alright. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take you on just a small little story here. I'm gonna make it quick, but because these guys know I like to talk.
I appreciate a good narrative.
I like my little analogy. So the way I look at Marvel and DC is I've always kind of favored DC at times when I even like Marvel more from comics and characters, but DC as far as Marvel to me, and I'm talking about the MCU, is this restaurant. Fox is the restaurant that has no idea. They're on fire one day, but the next day they're making fucking goulash. You don't know what you're gonna get with them. The MCU is this restaurant that has a menu, and that menu is the same all the time, but every once in a while they bring in different chefs and they maybe spice it with a side. Sometimes the side is just the same old, but then sometimes it's like Thor Ragnarok, where, this Kiwi side, or James Gunn with this weird sci-fi side. You know, so the main meal is always the same.
Sci-fi side.
Yeah, kind of the template's the same, but it's the chefs come in and maybe spice it up and do something else with it.
The chef's special.
Exactly.
Lots of spices.
So they have the same menu with some different specials. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. DC is the restaurant that their menu changes every month. Every month they got something new. It could be a steak, could be a lobster, could be a dog turd. You never know what you're going to get with DC. And that's why with DC, I get always more excited to see those than Marvel movies, except for maybe like your Civil Wars, like Infinity War, like big films, like maybe your Iron Mans, but most of them I know what I'm going to get. DC, I never know what I'm going to get.
Sometimes they're not even a restaurant, right?
Sometimes they're just
street meat.
They're street meat. Yeah, they're whatever, a food shack on the side. But sometimes you get a gourmet meal, like a Dark Knight, like a Wonder Woman. Sometimes, like I said, you get that raw fish that makes you sick for weeks, Green Lantern, a Suicide Squad. And then you get that somewhere in the middle where it's kind of like a BVS or a Man of Steel for myself, or even like some of the older Batman or Superman movies where it's like, okay, this is alright, but it's not the worst meal I've ever had, it's not the best meal. But there's always there's always a flavor to it. You always have a flavor. You know what you're eating. With this, I feel like it is kind of in the middle, but it's not even on the menu. It's something they cooked and they tasted it and they're like, it has no strong taste whatsoever, and you dump it in the garbage. And I'm not even saying this is an awful film. It's just, I know that sounds really bad, but I just feel like this is just really bland. And I was saying this to Dylan, like he already touched upon it, but it's just, I don't feel like this is a huge Joss Whedon movie, and I don't feel like this is a Zack Snyder movie. I just feel like this is just a movie. I don't walk away feeling anything from it. And this is a thing where I'll call back to Liam when he used to be with us. We always used to talk about, Liam hates BVS, but he always used to talk about, and I agreed with him, that the reason he liked BVS was they took some big shots. They missed a lot of them, but they took a big shots. I, for myself, feel the same with Man of Steel. They took a lot of shots. I didn't like it. Lots of people love it, but I respect them for it. They're trying to do this, and maybe for me, they missed it. They missed the mark. This just feels like they played it super safe. Like they didn't do anything outlandish. They didn't take any big shots. They felt, at times, they did just feel like they were just trying to do their version of the Avengers, and I didn't want that. I didn't want DC's version of the Avengers, I wanted DC's Justice League. Mm-hmm. And whether it was going to be bad, BVS to me was setting up a whole entirely Justice League that we would have gone. Maybe they can say, oh no, it was always going to be this way. We'll never know until like 20 years when they make a documentary about all these movies. But right now, it just feels like this was not the movie they proposed. And even if I wouldn't have liked it, I would have rather have seen the movie that I extremely disliked. And not Squad, where it's like, oh, there's so much studio interference. Like, just, they had a vision, they made it, and it didn't work. Where this doesn't really feel like anyone's vision. It just feels like they had points like, okay, we gotta have some humor here. We gotta have big, brainless villain. Check. Like, this feels very, I'm sorry for people, if you love the DC movies, this feels very close to some, like, of the lower Marvel movies, in my opinion. It has that same beat of weak villain, lots of CGI, big, like, cannon fodder, yeah, lots of quips. There's a fucking portal again. Not as bad, but there's always stuff coming from the sky or something like that. Like, it feels, and good for them, I guess, because Avengers worked, but this did not work. The characters, I feel, even though I like some characters that we'll talk about that I was surprised about, I still don't feel like I know who Aquaman is as a character. I feel like I don't know who Flash really is. Cyborg, I'll minor spoil it. I had no interest in him. I quite liked him in this movie. I was surprised. Superman, I like in this movie. Batman's my favorite character of all time.
What?
I do not like Batman in this movie, not whatsoever. We've talked about so many times BVS. I think that is almost a perfect addition of Bruce Wayne and Batman. It's just up there with Christian Bale. He knocks out the party. He's the best thing about BVS. He's maybe like the weakest thing about this. I don't know if it's a Ben Affleck thing where he's like, I don't really care.
He didn't seem like he gave two shits.
No, but I also think...
seemed like he was like... It almost seemed like he was making fun of this movie, I felt like, with his acting.
There was times, but then even just whatever they wrote him, and maybe that was it, where Batman was doing quips, and he was used for like a lot of humor, and there's so many times where Batman's just, again, standing around doing nothing. Like, whoever's writing Batman in these movies does not really know how to use him that well. I feel like BVS was a lot of Ben Affleck invested because he loves Batman. Villain's weak, the story's weak. There's a few good moments, there's a few good jokes, but I just feel like this is like a basic bitch superhero movie. This is forgettable, and this is, I'll watch it again because someone like Emily hasn't seen it. I said, oh yeah, I'll go see it again because whatever, but after that, I could not see myself watching it. Where BVS, a movie that I go back and forth on how much I like it, I'll still watch that. I never ever thought I'd say take BVS over Justice League, which I like BVS, but I thought Justice League was going to be a bit better than this. This is, all of you guys have said like, oh yeah, it was alright, it was fine. This is the fucking Justice League. This is supposed to be the cap off for their like first little chapter here. And it's just, yeah, it's fine, it's alright. Like, that shouldn't be it. After, and sorry, I'm going to compare it, but suck it. After I walked out of the Avengers, I remember just feeling that, even in the time, it was just hype. That's the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. It's not, but when you walked out, you just felt this adrenaline rush and you felt like, I want to go in and see it again. I was bored so much during this movie, and thank God it was only 2 hours. Because before I was like, oof, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. They really need more time. They do need more time with these characters because there's just random origins literally just thrown out. Just like, hey, this happened to you, right? It did. Okay, you're on the team. Like, what? But I'm happy it was 2 hours because I was quite bored. So yeah, do we have any non-spoilers? Anything we want to shout out there? I thought the score was fine for me. I love the OG themes, like you had OG Batman.
Honestly,
OG
the only soundtrack thing that stuck out to me was anytime they showed that random Russian family and they had like a little theme for them. That was the only thing that stood out to me.
fuck that Russian family. That's a spoiler, but
yeah, well, yeah. Like, what's the point of them?
It's very minor. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into spoilers. So if you've not seen Justice League, tune out. Come back later on. We'll still be here with us on YouTube or podcast versions. I don't even know where to begin with this movie because it's.
Well, I'll ask you guys a question then. How much of Flash's comedy worked for you? Travis's answer is not very much.
40%.
40%? Really?
That's a large amount.
Maybe,
Really?
okay, maybe 30. It was a failing
Still,
grade
okay,
though,
okay.
and I went in. I guess we'll just.
You
go with that.
You liked his stuff from the trailers at least.
I loved it,
Yeah.
and I love that actor a lot. I'm a huge fan of Ezra Miller in almost everything he does.
Yeah.
And I said to Dylan, with this, how it started with Flash, I love the scene with his dad in the jail cell. There's real emotion there. He doesn't do one single quip. The second he walks out of that prison with his dad, legitimately every line, except one line where he's on the computer where he's like, oh, they built something here now. That's like the only line I can remember that wasn't a quip, that wasn't everything. Like, I love the Flash. He's in my top 10, but I wanted him to shut the fuck up throughout this movie. He just would not stop. There was never a moment where it's just say a word. Just say like, hey, have you guys seen like, no, that would, he make it quippy. I don't know what he could have said that would have been, he could have said, oh, the sun's up, but he would have found a way, the sun's out. Hey guys, the sun. Like,
Alright,
oh!
Travis, you're fucking freaking out.
Yeah,
Kyle, go ahead.
What was the question?
Flash
comedy.
And
How did it land?
We can run down the Justice League characters.
I guess
we can do that.
I don't know. A lot of the jokes didn't really hit for me. I don't know the percentage. I would say like maybe like 30%. I would say like
40,
every 45. Every once in a while it would be kind of funny. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. But it started getting really sick. I got really sick and tired of almost the same jokes over. And some of the jokes came out of nowhere. Like for example, like Travis and I were talking about in the car where they're digging up Superman in the grave.
Super morbid scene, by the way. Too.
And they do like say like this is pretty fucked up that we're doing this. Like, oh yeah, for sure.
So fair enough. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you are the Flash. Like you could just dig this out like in no time. Like I don't really understand why we're doing this. They're just like getting to know each other. But then the whole like racial, like, oh, is this like a racial tendency or whatever? Something like he says.
Oh
that was racially charged.
Racially charged, and it was like. What? Like, where is this
came out of
from?
nowhere.
Like, this totally unnecessary.
Yeah, he didn't really seem like a person, right? He just seemed like a caricature almost.
Yeah, and I want to put it for a second. Greg, who's a Patreon supporter of us, is in the live chat, and he said, "Oh, well, what about Hulk and Thor Ragnarok?" My difference is you have Bruce Banner to level that out. Bruce makes some jokes, but he's still like he's talking about science. He's like, where have I been? Like he's just talking at normal person time. I never, like you just said, a caricature. I always felt like this is not a real person. Maybe it is. I guess I wouldn't be friends with that person. So I just couldn't there was never a moment where I could relax with him other than the scenes with his father.
Yeah.
The two scenes.
Yeah, the two scenes.
Yeah.
But those are my favorite scenes.
Yeah, that's how like the Flash landed for me. How about yourself, Tyler?
What's your percentage?
30, 40, 45.
Yeah.
You know, I have to give it a hard 0.
Oh!
The only jokes that were like kind of alright were from the trailers, but then in the context and the delivery of them with the rest of the scene, it just didn't land for me. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, that reminds me.
I see what you're going for, but like even the joke itself wasn't awful, but I felt the delivery of it wasn't the best.
Well, because it just didn't like fit the scene.
No, it just didn't fit with the whole context of the scene, so I was just kind of like, okay.
You brought a good point because that happened a lot in Suicide Squad. Remember they used a lot of humor in the trailers, but there's that awkward scene when Harley Quinn like smashes a window and gets a person. She's like, "We're bad guys." In the trailer, I was like, "Oh, that's funny." But in the movie, it was like, "This is out of place and does not fit at all." That's a good point.
Yeah,
like the
so
trailers.
I don't think any of it fit really for me. Like I didn't laugh at any of it, so I was like,
Yeah, I think
I already got 2 dislikes on this video.
Love you, DC fans.
Yeah. We all liked to love Wonder Woman, so you know.
You gotta be open to other people's opinions.
Yeah. What was your percentage, Dylan?
I would say my percentage is probably about 5 or 6%.
Yikes.
So there was at least 1 or 2 jokes in there that I liked. The one part I really enjoyed is we were talking about this afterward is the scene with like Flash is moving around and Superman like catches onto him and he like starts looking back at him.
So good.
Yeah, like that was really funny.
And just his face of like realizing Superman is the same speed. He's like, oh my! Like there were some good reactions when
and like just like the way because that scene like slowly builds up to like Superman like the full on smile and then he like fucks him up. So I really like that. I thought that was hilarious.
The other one
yeah,
I thought was a joke though.
Well, that was like part of Flash's comedy though.
Yeah, it was kind of comedic. But.
Well, I found his
Maybe
reaction.
maybe I liked it because he wasn't saying anything.
Yeah. Well, I liked his reaction too, and Momoa pretty much just like threads to kill him at one point. I liked that. I liked him reacting and stuff, and he's just like, "You don't tell anyone that we're gonna have a problem." Or he says something, and he's like, like I liked that stuff.
Yeah, like I think that might have been like my 5 or 6% is sometimes like his eyes and his facial reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was like, why are you always doing this? But
Yeah.
a couple of them were kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean that's what I expected too. Like you can go back and listen to any cast we ever talked about Justice League. I did not like any of his comedy. I didn't.
Hashtag
I
Dylan
didn't,
told you.
I didn't think I was gonna like him.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So.
And I
What do you
defended
think of
it
his
for
look?
months.
His look is kind of weird, like with all those little like barbed wire things over him.
I like it because obviously they're trying to make it different because they have a TV show going
Yeah.
right now, right? But I thought we were gonna get an upgrade at one point in
He
the
looked
movie.
a little ghetto.
Well, I think that's the point, right? Because he built it, right? I
Yeah,
thought
I
the
guess
final
so.
battle, I thought Bruce was gonna
Give him
pull
a
a
new
Tony
suit.
Stark
Yeah.
and like, oh, here's the
T-Stark,
new
yeah.
duds, but
Yeah.
that didn't happen, and I
No.
hope it does eventually. But like, it was all right. Like it was. I don't like his helmet. I think that's the thing. I don't like the way it's like folded in like a weird like arrow in a way. The rest of the suit's fine, but the arrow's kind of like
I
man.
thought the suit looked great.
Oh,
I
there you
really
go.
love the suit, so
yeah.
screw you guys.
What'd you like about the suit?
I just like how the armor and how the Kevlar really looked, and kind of
Kevlar.
well, I don't know what.
He had them in
material-
between like the joints, like there was just
Yeah.
like cloth or what? Well,
I-
hopefully not cloth.
The,
Kevlar.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
called.
sure, like for me, like other than Wonder Woman, like Flash was probably my favorite suit out of everyone else.
Oh,
other
the
than,
suit.
like-
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I will say though, to defend him, I don't think this is, and maybe I'm biased, but I don't think this is the actor's fault, because to me, when he did the emotional scenes, he hit that out of the park. I think they gave him, hey, you're going to be comedic this whole time.
Yeah.
And I think he tried his best with
Yeah.
it, but I don't think you can constantly, unless you're in Dumb and Dumber, he'd be great in Dumb and Dumber, but unless you're in a movie like that, you can't continually just be that, like, caricature, like over exaggeration of a comedy character and really make it work. In my opinion, I've never seen it because even in Marvel, like characters take a break. They take even a little bit. Like,
Well, I'll throw this back at you.
oh boy.
Thor last week when we watched it, it was the entire film was comedy basically.
Yeah, and that's
the
why I
thing
give it
is,
7 out of 10.
they do that in Civil War a lot too, where it's a lot of quick quips, but it's
but
different
Thor was
characters.
different though.
But it's different characters,
Yeah,
right?
I guess.
And they're going,
It's
and
not
it's
the
back
same.
and forth. Where in this movie, it's
Yeah.
pretty much always Flash.
It's just
And the
one
thing
side,
is,
yeah.
every single one of his scenes is a joke.
And with Thor, I did docket marks as far as there was times where it didn't need to be comedic, and they did just hit me over the head with the comedy. I think the difference was the whole movie was a very comedic tone, where this at times was trying to be very serious, but then the quips would come very randomly.
Yeah.
And that happens in Avengers too. That happens all the times they're in the middle of battles. But I think that was the thing. It was mostly just Flash. Aquaman yelled a lot. Cyborg would just say some stuff. Batman had some quips, but those were, I think, even worse than Flash's, because those
Yeah.
felt... Anytime Batman's making a joke, you get... I always say in movies, you get 2 Batman jokes. You can use them sparingly. You gotta make them work. And Nolan's they do, and Batman they do. He made a lot of jokes, and I did not like Batman at all. Do we have
No.
anything more on Sam Flash?
No,
Then, let's talk about Batman.
the big B.
Yeah, I'm gonna start because I love him BBS.
Someone is triggered tonight.
Oh yeah,
No, that's what it's called.
the big B.
Big B.
Triggered Travis.
I feel like Ben Affleck did a perfect performance in BBS. I had problems with the writing and the characters as far as Batman. I'm not a big Batman Kills fan, and they make sure he doesn't kill in this movie, but like they really beat you over the head with it. Like Clark, you made me see things a different way. You knew him for like a fucking hour, man. Like I'll get in that later, but
That's true.
like the fact that he keeps calling him Clark, it's like you don't know him. Like that's the whole thing. Like this whole relationship of Batman and Superman, they try so hard to make it their Tony and Cap, and it's like difference. They have like fucking like 8 worths of films of build-up. They met one film and they hated each other the whole time until Martha came up. But Batman, he was super weak at points, which I don't understand how we go from one movie to him beating Superman to him struggling to fight a parademon. A parademon comes up, hits this grapple gun in his hand. There's like literally a 5-minute scene of Batman trying to get the gun. It's like, this guy beat the Man of Steel and he can't beat this fucking alien. That's one. 2, they didn't even just use him for the quips. They used him for almost like physical humor. So the one moment when the Nightcrawler falls and Batman like falls, he's like, oh, and there's moments where Superman flies away and he's like, oh, something is bleeding, and it's just like those moments were super weird. Like, and Superman just throws him aside. Like, I felt like maybe it's because they knew Ben Affleck was leaving, so like we're gonna we're gonna fuck him up. But like,
we're not hiring a stunt double.
yeah. But it just felt like. It felt very similar to how I felt about Thor Ragnarok, where Loki was always the butt of the joke in the movie, and I didn't like that. I feel like Batman was not always, but Batman should really never be the butt of the joke, especially if he's supposed to kind of be the leader up until a point, because obviously there's a shift, right? But for the first half of the movie, he's putting the team together, and he's the guy, and I think Dylan put the point out, I think Ben Affleck was maybe a little checked out, because he was not checked out on BBS, and I did not like this at all, and I had a feeling when there was a couple of jokes in the trailers, but I didn't think it would get this bad. But to me, I never felt like it was Batman. Where in BBS, I felt like that's Batman.
The other thing, I guess him and the rest of the team is, to me, they didn't really seem very smart.
No.
And
even
Batman.
Wonder Woman says we react to things. It's like, what?
And that's like, even what's his face? Aquaman says it at some point, like, oh, you have no powers. Like, well, his power is that he's really smart and he thinks things through. But you don't really get that in this movie. So what does he have then? He doesn't have a power. He's not smart. He's just some fucking idiot on the side.
He has the money.
I guess he brought them together, but I feel like Wonder Woman kind of brought them together more.
Yeah.
So
the only thing he does do is he brings in Lois, right? That's his one saving grace. But I feel like we didn't even get a cool Batman scene. There's a lot of cool shots of him standing on shit, so that was good. But the opening scene...
There was a lot of scenes of all of them just standing together epically. They did that way too much.
Way too much. And none of them really stand out either. There's no Avengers circle shot where it's
no, it's just they're all standing in a line stick figures.
Yeah, you get there, you get...
You know when the gatehouse down, they come out of the ship and they walk out.
The problem is Superman's missing though, so there's not a big group, all of them together,
true.
right? And because Superman's just kind of bopping off. The other thing I'll say about Batman, that's where I was really worried about the movie, because that scene that started the movie was super strange with him and the burglar, and then the alien came out of nowhere, and then later on he's like, yeah, I've been seeing these things for weeks. I don't know, it felt like a really jarring way to start the movie. I was like, okay, we're in for a bad thing. And then he leaves the burglar there, and that's the thing. Batman is joking with the burglar at times, and that's where it's that's not Batman.
And then he lets him go at the end.
Yeah, he leaves him. That guy could just cut open that thing and go off and fucking steal these people's stuff.
Start having a conversation as well too.
Yeah.
The parademon.
Batman would just run over. He doesn't have to kill him. That's the problem. It's either they want Batman to be really brutal or he has to be super friendly. It's there's a medium. Batman should just go over, knock him out, throw a tag, call police. But he's like, no, I'm gonna go fly away and.
I have a question for you, Travis, as the guy who's seen BBS a lot. Those 3 squares. They mentioned that Lex Luthor was in his notes. Is that ever in BVS, or is that something that they retroactively oh, we're building a universe?
They kind of retroactively, because the only time so what happens in BVS, you don't see it in the Ultimate Edition. Lex Luthor is in Superman's ship, and there is a scene of Steppenwolf kind of showing him the 3 mother boxes, but then right after that he goes to prison. So so maybe there's a chance Lex Luthor somehow knew, but they kind of implied that he was finding about it in the ship.
It wouldn't be in his notes or anything.
I don't think so at all. And the other thing they retroacted, because I don't want to forget about it, the beginning scene with Superman, one, I could really tell his mustache was CG. If you look at his face was super CG, but I don't remember any time in Man of Steel or BVS when he was that jovial. This was before the kid, before he died, right? And it's the iPhone of him just oh, well, this is what I do and you gotta eat your vegetables. Yeah. He's super friendly and super happy. He was never like that in the movie. So they try to retroactively make you think that Superman was always this shining light, a great guy, or loved everybody, was happy. He was not like that. He was sulky all the time. But they just, so much stuff like the mother boxes, they tried to be oh, this did happen. It's it didn't. We were not dumb. We've seen the other movies. Yikes. Yeah.
Batman. He was alright.
You loved him in BVS too, right?
I
loved him.
I would say
him, would you say?
Batman was probably the best part of BVS. Yeah. In this movie, he didn't really shine too much, and he wasn't that smart Batman who I expected him to be, where he was very he should know everything that's going on. Gal Gadot, or I should say Wonder Woman.
You should.
Was at one point oh, we need a backup plan for what if he wakes up. It's no, Batman should be saying that.
Batman eats backup plans.
He did say that. He said I have a contingency plan.
Yeah. I guess so.
But there were a couple other. That's the lowest he hit. But there was one moment.
There's another moment as well too.
Where they're talking about the boxes, and I know it was kind of for a joke, and she's oh, they're so powerful. He's oh, I don't even know what's in them, and it's just Yeesh, like even if Batman doesn't, it just feels like he felt like he never knew what was going on. He was just always like looking around. And at one point he literally picks up one of the Parademons' guns, and I was like, oh, like why is Batman using a gun? Yeah, it's like
at least he like didn't shoot anybody until
except those aliens.
Only the Parademons, which makes sense. Like
I'll give him a pass on the aliens.
I don't know. I kind of liked his fight scenes, to be honest, because I thought they were really well done. How he would use his grappling hook, flip over. You kind of take him out of the context of like what the fight was about, but just like the action shots of the fight. Yeah. I thought they were really well done and very enjoyable to watch. Like majority of like kind of the non-CGI fight scenes I quite enjoyed a lot.
I don't know how many of those there were.
I know, but like, the ones that weren't there, that were there, they were great. So that aspect I really like. But otherwise, like Batman was just not like kind of the Batman who I expected, and he was missing from BVS. Like he was just different. He wasn't the same. Yeah. You can totally tell, even like in his voice and just the way he carried himself was just almost like very low self-esteem. In a way.
I felt like he just the whole time was thinking about that 27% on Rotten Tomatoes for BVS, and he's like, man, I signed up for like 3 of these. That's
honestly, like that's what I mean. Like, just the like smirks and facial expressions he's making throughout this movie, it totally seemed to me that he was just there for the paycheck, and I feel like that's the case for probably like 75% of his scenes. So like for those scenes of his character, like I was kind of just taken out of it. Just because he didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Yeah. And
maybe those were the reshoots and he was just like, oh, we're doing this.
It could be, and he's like, fuck, we can't get this right. Like, because there was moments in
he like didn't even, that's like not even the costume. He's like, this is just the jacket he showed up with that day. Like,
there's moments in the scene where he's talking to Aquaman where you can see his beard kind of change back and forth. So like they reshot a lot of this movie. Like, to the point of like there's scenes where in the final battle Superman you could tell when he didn't have the mustache CGI face and then he had the CGI face. Like for some reason his like lips would get really small in the CGI because obviously the mustache, and then when it's like normal, like there was a lot. Obviously they reshot like a ton, so it could have been that. Maybe he was just like sick and tired of like, fuck, I've already done this, like what are we doing here?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
That's kind of my thoughts of Batman.
Mr. Bat.
Tyler?
Yeah, I don't know, just didn't feel like Batman. He was just a guy in a suit. He had a reasonable amount of money, and that's reasonable.
Is that a reasonable amount? I feel like that's more like
he bought the bank. Come on.
That was a good line. I liked that. That was good. Yeah.
So that was one of the 2 good jokes, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, from him or the whole movie?
From him.
Okay. Yeah. Like, wow.
But then he went way past that.
Yeah. No. Overall, like there's just a lot of things that like I have this idea of like what Batman should be doing and how he would react in these situations, and almost none of it fit. I think one of like the biggest things for me was the fact that he used a gun, where it's like Batman, one of his biggest things is like he doesn't kill people.
He used a gun in BVS. Come on,
that's still a problem.
Yeah, that's so I'm
just saying.
I thought this
was negative.
Yeah. No,
he used a gun the entire movie on anyone until he grabbed the Parademon gun.
Honestly, if I was fighting Parademons, I'd be like, I'm gonna try this gun out.
But that's the point of Batman. He's supposed to be above that. Like he's supposed to be able to be kicking ass. And
this is DC's Batman. Get away from your own Batman.
Is there? He's just hanging out on set.
He's playing.
Like, oh, that looks like a fun weapon.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I just he didn't stand out. I can't think of anything that great about him.
He really wasn't sending out the bat signal, you could say.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, meh.
The only scene I did like was the scene that him and Wonder Woman kind of got into, and they had that fight, and he threw out the Steve Trevor at her face. Yeah. Like, that was the only thing where I was like, okay, that kind of seems like he's a little invested when they're having that moral clash. But it's a super quick scene, so it's not like that big. But that was a scene that I like, that she punches him and, Cyborg calls him out for being an asshole. And that felt like Batman, because Batman is an asshole. That was the other thing. Like, Batman was super friendly at times in this movie. It's like, Batman's really dejected and he's really, like, alone. Like, Aquaman had to tell us 10 times that he's a loner, but really Batman's, like, the big loner.
Yeah, so he's just, like, trying to... Yeah, he's trying to be friends with everyone and, like, bring everyone together and stuff, which...
Yeah.
Didn't fit.
I found it to bring people together, just like be a bit more not so happy about it.
Even like when he was recruiting Barry Allen for the Justice League team.
That's what they're called, right?
I'm like, man, what are they called?
The Avenger? No.
It was just like, I want like to get all these people in a group, like, and it's just like, yeah, sure. What? really? And it's like, I know we saw that earlier, and like, but like, it's still like, I thought maybe it would land with a little bit greater context. I totally forgot about it, but like, it didn't though.
No.
Like, it was
I didn't like his
he's like,
scene
oh,
with
you are. It's like, you're Batman. Like, you should just like already know. It's like, yeah, I already knew he was gonna join. It's just convincing him.
Yeah.
I didn't like the scene of him recruiting Aquaman either. Because he didn't seem like Bruce Wayne to me there.
No,
Like,
he
at all.
felt like Ben
I mean,
Affleck.
not really in much of this movie did he feel like Bruce Wayne, but that scene in particular, like what was that line he said as like Aquaman just dipped right into the water again? I don't know what it was, but
because Aquaman says something. He's like, "Oh, a strong man alone is a strong." He's like, "That's not the saying. Like that's the opposite of the saying. Like or something like that."
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
The only thing he did do, which it didn't pan out, but like he put the tracker in Aquaman's jacket, but then he's like he left the jacket. Like I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, but he got duped too many times where it's not funny anymore. But at first I'm like, okay, it's kind of fun. Aquaman might be smart and he dipped it. Really, I think they just want to show Momoa's body and. Fair enough, he's jacked to the gills, but like
Jack to the gills.
you know,
I get it.
I got some good writing, DC. Dylan, you've said
nothing.
well, you said a few things on.
Fuck you!
You said a few things on Batman, but anything else to add on Bruce Wayne?
No, you guys said it all.
I'm gonna vouch for him again. I thought Alfred was great in this movie. I liked him in BVS, and I thought
wasn't a whole lot of him, though.
no, but I
He
thought
did
his
very well.
one-liners
job.
worked, and anytime he talks, and that was the only other scenes I thought.
Anytime he talks.
And he thought those were the scenes. Anytime Ben Affleck I felt was working was when he was talking to Alfred. I think those two just have good chemistry. Maybe it's just Jeremy Irons, but yeah, shout Alfred because we're not going to talk about him again. But
There
I
is
liked
like
him.
one scene that Alfred, when they're all going up in the elevator to get into the big ship or whatever they have, it's like, why is Alfred getting up into the elevator with them?
He's just to watch.
Just to watch them to like go off like, oh okay, see
He's
you
the caring
later.
father,
Like,
bye.
Maybe
yeah,
he has
having
the keys.
fun. Like he has the keys. It just didn't make any sense at all. I don't
I'll
know
be
what-
back before
why.
10.
There was two things I want to show before we talk about more characters that bugged me. Was one, this was talked about on the internet, but it did stand out to me a lot. Was on Themyscira, the Amazons were very scantily clad, unlike Wonder Woman, where they're big armor. They're so much like very cup size, like on purpose.
Yeah.
Very like I didn't like that because
I
Wonder
didn't
Woman.
notice that actually.
The Wonder Woman, the biggest thing was they didn't sexualize her, and they were super sexualized, I thought. And there's this other shot that I hated that when they meet Wonder Woman and Diana at like this airport, and it's just Bruce and Flash, and it, like the cockpit, whatever, the thing, what would it be called? That would come down like out of the ship.
The drawbit bridge.
Something like that, the
Yeah.
landing strip, whatever that was. So it comes down, and it's like a shot up of Batman and Flash like walking off. And it was like
It's a
maybe
scissor lift.
it was there you go. Maybe it was accidental, but it was like completely like Wonder Woman's ass like right in the whole frame there, and then like them walking down. You saw one, yeah, and it was like
Yeah.
We
There's
did
a lot
have
of her ass.
And
There's
that-
a lot of like womanizing, well not like woman,
sexualized, yeah.
like shots of Gal Gadot.
And it's fine if Harley Quinn was in this movie, but Wonder Woman's not like an overly sexualized, overly sexual character. That's not what she's about, and I felt like I don't want to play that card. But that does feel like a bit more of a Zack Snyder thing to me. That he's just more of like, even 300, he sexualizes men too. They're super sexualized. I'm just saying he sexualizes a lot of things.
Lois Lane holding on to Superman.
Spider-Man.
Wrong movie.
That's quite the choice.
He's gonna fucking rip Superman or Spider-Man apart. But yeah, I felt there was a few kind of moments like that took me out where like, this isn't really jiving with me.
Is that the show you're talking about? Was when it was like from underneath the plane? And
Yeah, and the
well,
and
even
there's like
that,
10
like,
seconds of
and it
extra
was like
butt.
no, they did it again with when she's talking to Cyborg in the alleyway, and it's just like this shot of like just her ass.
Oh
and, like,
yeah, and the
Cyborg.
lights are going
The
out.
lights, and you're like, man, like
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
she's hot, but like
Waste up. We
Oh,
don't
man.
need it. Like, and maybe it's accidental. Maybe they're like, fuck, why do we shoot from this angle? But like,
Yeah.
it's Hollywood. They shoot from like 6 different angles. Like, they have a camera everywhere to get everyone's reaction. So I don't know. Maybe it could have been cut a little better. I caught it a few times where I was like, especially after Wonder Woman was such like a powerful, strong movie, and it was really good as not like she didn't have to have some scene where she used like her like benefits of being a woman to get places. Because every time in a movie they'll like flip with a guy that's like didn't have Wonder Woman. Where that did.
She did the dance with the one dude.
Well, no, that wasn't. But that
Oh,
was
yeah, that wasn't
to get some
sexualized.
information.
I know, I just mean there was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just-
Fair enough.
I'm
But
just bugging you.
I felt that.
Yeah,
vibe.
time.
The old gag. Yeah.
And because we're talking about her, I don't know if there's much to add in here, but I said this down. I think Wonder Woman's still great. I think she does her job well. She doesn't have much of an arc. I think she has this minor arc of she's gonna be an outward hero in
how
the public.
she's more being kind of like in the shadows.
Yeah.
But they kind of like slammed it over your head.
100%. Like, I've been hiding. So I think that means, I think Wonder Woman 2 will probably be in present day, I imagine now, because she's out in the public. But I liked her. I think she is their Iron Man, where I don't know if it's as strong as performance as like Downey, but I just think she should be the go-to person, maybe along with Superman. I don't want Ben Affleck's Batman as the go-to. I think she does great as the leader. Anytime she was leading the pack, she did good. Her comedy's good. She did really well. I just don't think there was as much as Wonder Woman for her to grow as a character. But what she did well, and I think she should from now on always be like the Iron Man of the DCU. Like she is, she's their moneymaker, and she does a good job. She does a great job. Where from BVS is like, I don't know, she's just kind of here. Where now she does feel like she is the leader, and I like that. Wonder Woman's a good character. So.
Yeah, I feel like from like the perspective of Gal Gadot, it was kind of just a continuation of Wonder Woman. Like she was just as good as she was in that movie. No, I don't really think she was any better, to be honest. I think she kind of just stayed right where she was.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't really get much. So.
No, there's not much for her to get better at, right?
She doesn't have like a story in this movie, right?
Well, she does. She wants to be here on the public now. Did you get that?
I didn't. It was.
Did you not get
that? It was such a deep, complex story that my puny,
subtle.
tiny little brain.
Did you not get that from her, like smiling at cameras and all kids showing up with autographs?
And then she's just lassoing all sorts of bad guys to tell.
This happens twice. For the people who haven't seen this movie yet.
I am saying that. I am taking shots at but
taking a lot of shots.
Overall, I do like the scene of the kids walking up. It's
there we go.
Yeah. I'm just saying maybe they didn't need to keep telling us about we get it. Like, you've been hiding. Okay, we got it.
You've been hiding.
Yeah. For this guy who died, but fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's one moment I hated when she sees the Nightcrawler for her first time, and she's like, I know a man who would love to fly this. And it's like,
he wasn't even primarily piloting.
no, and that's even more where he died in a plane.
And then she looks down. It's like, no,
no,
like the Snoopy theme.
I get it. I'm a big defender of Dark Knight Rises, so I get it. It's a double standard. But Dark Knight Rises 7 years. This, I don't know what, 50, 60 years. How long has it been since World War I?
Well, Batman put joke up to that too, didn't he? During the.
But I'm just asking a genuine question. How long has it been since World War I?
Oh,
it's been a few.
1918.
Almost 100
Really?
years.
So she hasn't got over this guy in 100 years, and when
she said a century.
When she said she hasn't opened up, my mind did go somewhere. And I was like, does that mean she's not been with anybody in 100 years?
Yes.
I don't know if I can believe that. That's people have needs.
Oh, for sure.
People have needs.
Yeah.
She's an Amazon god. Why would she need needs?
She talks about Wonder Woman that she likes sex, though. Remember? She knows all the ways to play like a man.
But she doesn't have the same moral desires.
We don't know that. What if they're even thirstier?
What the fuck are we talking about?
I'm talking let's move on. That was a joke from the movie. That's why.
Awful.
Remember Martha says, "Oh, you always said you were
thirsty." Talking about Martha.
Anyways,
done with Martha.
I just found Martha. I got that it kind of worked to getting over Steve Trevor, but I think they hit over the head a couple times. So, anything else on WW?
W Dubs.
Let's talk about Cyborg.
The big side.
I am the most surprised. I talked about this in non-spoilers. In the trailers, we talked about this on Dynamic Duo. I felt like he honestly was just there to be the token black guy. They're like, Fast Furious is doing great. We need to throw in some color. Let's throw in Cyborg instead of Green Lantern, somebody like that. And luckily it wasn't that. He had a big deal with the main storyline. Yeah. In the trailers, he's just always kind of there and sulking around.
Yeah.
And I really liked Ray Fisher's performance. It was really subtle, which was kind of nice because everyone else was really loud and rambunctious. I liked the scenes with his father, him talking about him being a weapon and this and that, and they were subtle and quiet, and that to me didn't bash me over the head. Just stuff when he shows him how to fly, and he's like, I couldn't do that yesterday, and then he walks away. It didn't feel overly dramatic. He felt like a real person. I get it's a comic book movie, but I still don't have a connection to them, and I don't know why. I don't know if I need a Cyborg the movie, but I had zero expectations for for Cyborg going in this, and I quite liked him.
We were kind of scared just seeing him in the trailers. He was used very, very sparsely, and he has probably more screen time than Aquaman in this movie.
100%, and more importance too. He's a part of the mother box, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
I agree with you. I liked him. Well, I guess I had no expectations for what I was gonna. I guess I was expecting he wouldn't be in it.
So. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
It is he has said that in the past.
That is a cyborg.
Yeah.
That is a cyborg thing.
I like a new one now.
He has a new one now. Yeah. I like.
Do you know what I'm referring
I
to?
don't know what the fuck
No.
you're. I just want to talk
Okay.
about Cyborg.
Okay.
I just want to say that I like
I'm
him,
curious.
but I don't like.
To.
I don't like his look, like at all.
I'm with you. I still don't like the look.
And it's funny because in the trailers I was like, okay, I could get down with this. Like I think this might work, and that took a big 180. I like the character, but I like the look less than I thought I would.
How about the end when it's like Shield started like to fill in a little bit
Yeah,
more?
he's
This
getting more
guy-
control.
I think he could look pretty fucking cool at some point.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I like the idea of his look, but it looked really weird on screen, and there was a couple scenes with him directly fighting Steppenwolf, and those just looked really weird to me. They didn't work at all. And I don't know what they did with his face. His face looked weird sometimes too with like the CGI.
yeah.
Like his skin was just like super smooth all of a sudden.
Maybe
Like,
he just has smooth skin. You know?
He does, but it became like extra smooth.
Black don't crack.
What?
Black don't crack. You know that expression, right?
No.
You've never heard that?
Really?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll move
Swing and a
on.
miss.
I didn't say it.
Racial diversity.
I didn't say it.
That's racially charged joke.
Yeah. Right. Whatever you said there.
Oof.
For me, Cyborg was. I think he did a pretty good job. Like it wasn't like he took. He was. I don't know. Dylan really hit it. I don't really have much.
I really
to
hit
say.
it.
You liked him.
I did like him. I thought he was good. I think he did his role. He didn't outperform anybody else, and he didn't he was just mid pack and was just
Mid-pack.
there and did his role. And I feel like if everyone else kind of had a little bit more to add to the storyline as well too, not just his, would have been a little bit better. But like Travis had it as well too, where it just his connection where he had with his father and him trying to figure out what's going on with him. It felt like more of the movie was more about him.
That's
At
an
times it
interesting
was.
point,
At times.
considering how short this movie was and how we got introduced to I guess multiple characters.
Yeah.
And they're really most of them didn't really have a story, but he actually did, and it's a simple one, sure, and it's more like a beginning of what might become greater things in the future.
I guess they're not gonna have a Cyborg movie, so I might as well just make this movie about him.
Sure.
So
You never know.
you never know. That's what my thoughts are.
So they voted that one up nice.
Yeah. Tyler?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to hate the CGI, and it's bearable. I thought it was actually better. It was a lot better than I expected. But I hope they changed the look to how he had it, to what he was doing to the armor.
I think so. That's
where
the
he has
classic
the
comic
smooth
book.
shoulders and stuff, rather
It
than
looks
the
much
little
better.
ridges and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I
He
think
kinda
they were
gets
kind
rendered.
of leading to doing that, but yeah, I thought he was really good.
He is also-
I liked a lot of his parts.
He's responsible for my favorite line in this entire movie.
That's what I was saying.
Yep, there you go.
And you didn't pick up on it later when I was
No.
talking about punchlines in the movie. And so to set this up, if you've not seen it,
yeah.
the big
Sometimes, Travis, you just gotta, pass the torch.
Okay.
Yeah.
The big battle is happening in this movie, and there's a moment where Cyborg is trying to separate the mother boxes, and he's so close, and there's battles going on, and then randomly, we haven't seen him in probably 5 minutes, and they just do a hard cut to him, and he's like, Superman! And then Superman flies up, and then he's like, the blast is good. Yeah, how can I have the blast is good? And I guess it maybe stood out too because, again, the whole movie he's been really subtle, so... It was just the delivery of the line felt really cheesy and just like Superman, and it was and Clark flies up and it was just like
instantly there.
Yeah, it was because Cyborg had been missing for 5-10 minutes, so she's like, oh right, he's still there, trying to separate these boxes.
Yeah.
But I think
It was great.
awful job explaining what the mother boxes do.
We all had a good laugh. But not in it was a good laugh. That was funny.
I laughed
I enjoyed
at
it.
it. No,
Was it supposed to be funny? I don't know, but I liked it.
Did not put this. Oh, say Superman really funny and awkwardly, okay? Okay, I got it. Let's talk about Aquaman before we talk about the big guy, because we can leave the big comeback for last. Aquaman, what do you guys think?
Aquaman.
A lot of one-liners, and that's all I felt from Aquaman in this movie.
My man.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that he'd be the classic dude man, bro.
I don't understand how he didn't. All
Yeah,
the
I did not
trailers.
expect that.
Yeah, every trailer he was like, oh, "We gotta do this." Yeah, I dig it.
I guess I don't know.
Jock.
Maybe I thought that wouldn't be every single time he spoke.
Oh,
But that's kind of
So
the
the truth came out. He got real deep.
That was a great scene. I actually
That was good.
genuinely had
I
a
really
good
liked
laugh
that.
at that scene. I'm just like, you're gorgeous, and I wouldn't fight you. We fought in the past, but I don't know what's going on. And he just keeps going on. He's very much like me. He just keeps going on and on. And then when Batman's just like, that great scene. I really, really enjoyed that scene.
That was a good
But
scene.
that was really just it.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Well, like even his like Batman and his interaction, we kind of talked about it earlier. It's just that there wasn't really much there. It's just like
It seemed like they wanted him to be super serious too from the very first scene with him and Ben Affleck interacting.
Yeah.
And then
that changed.
after that, he's just super bro-y because Atlantis was involved now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because Aquaman's another character that we haven't been introduced to at this point, right? So I guess I was hoping for a little bit more. Like, I don't know shit about Atlantis. I know they have a box, and that's the only thing I can tell you about them.
Yeah.
They look, like their armor looks very similar to the Themyscirians as well, so they don't even really have that distinctive a look to me.
It seems like they alluded to a lot of things that could
They
be
did.
going on, but they just didn't touch on it after.
again, if you're a big comic book fan, you would love this movie.
No, I don't think so. I don't.
You
so,
would get what's going
Well,
on.
it's like they were touching on like they brought up his past and like how his mother left him and stuff like that, and it's like you think like maybe
That was a weird scene.
Aquaman's gonna have like
Super
a deeper
weird scene.
story and there's gonna be like more to his more than just being like a bro man, and he's just like no,
Nope, that
just
was
bro
it.
man.
He's probably part of a big chunk of that 45 minutes that got cut, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
Could be.
and reshoots and stuff. Yeah, because that scene with him talking to that random...
Mara.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't think
Mara. Like, that was
Mara-
weird.
Her acting didn't seem very good at all.
Amber Heard
That
is
was-
not a good actress.
That was pretty
so,
bad.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to her.
Not landing at all.
Yeah. I think
Oh, is she like a
she's his love interest. She's a big character.
Mm.
Yeah. She becomes the
Yikes.
queen, and So
spoiler
I
alert?
think whatever. Do you care at this point?
Whoa! Of course I care.
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want the next movie DC just to tell you in a sentence and they move along?
Or in a trailer.
Yeah. So I think Aquaman is the biggest example of why we needed multiple films more before we did the Justice League. And I know many people said like, oh, they're doing this because Avengers did it. They're doing something different. They're going to do all the characters, then we're getting the solo movies. I don't think that really works. It can work. It worked, I think, just enough. But I always felt, and I'm someone that knows these people's origins. So when Tyler's referring to that scene, when he is just in 3 lines talking about how his mom, like his origin is his mom falls in love with a earth, like a surface
man.
dweller. Yeah, a man. And there's a big controversy there because that's not supposed to happen. She has the baby. She leaves him on sea. He comes back to Atlantis kind of as this like black sheep of like, you don't belong here. He literally just says this in like 10 seconds. And she's
I don't
like,
think he says it. She said it.
well, back and forth, whatever it is. Like when he's just like, he does say like, oh, my mom left me up there, right? Like whatever it is in the 15 seconds, they just tell his entire origin story. It is a very long, huge origin story. There's like, the Ocean Master's not even mention his brother. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I'm sure maybe again they'll retroactively maybe do it, but they needed that. I think Cyborg could have got away with no movie. I think he did work.
Yeah.
I do think Flash needed one because I would have liked to seen more with his dad. His love interest was in this movie. She got cut, Iris West, and I think we would have got more or less quippy scenes. So I think we would have needed a movie with him and Aquaman for sure because from the trailers I thought Aquaman was going to have a huge role or just be in a lot more. The first half of the movie, he's gone for quite a while, and when he's in there, he does a couple quips, and I don't think he's as quippy. He has some serious lines, and he has some really, I like his action stuff, the way he fights.
Action,
It was great, and I liked the performance, but I felt he was on the back burner the most out of all of them. I felt he got the least screen time, and it wasn't like the way Hulk does in the original Avengers, where like he has minor screen time, but every time he's there, it's really important. It just felt like he was kind of there. Like, other than that scene where he saves him from the big water, he didn't need to be there other than like we have another guy. And the scene where he goes back to Atlantis, or I don't know if it's fully Atlantis, but was super random. I don't know, you made a joke that he felt like the tides turned the water. Maybe I did miss that, but he said he's alone, he wants to be alone, he talks about he's never going back to Atlantis. And then 5 minutes later, he goes back, and like Dylan says, he has that super weird scene with Mara.
Yeah.
Even the way Steppenwolf, like, there's fucking 5 guards around this box, like we were talking about in the car. Themyscira, they lose a lot of people. In Atlantis,
There's
they
like
have
a huge battle of them, like trying to get the box and everything.
Like,
I
so
actually like that
dramatic
and like
great scene.
It was awesome.
With that arrow when she shoots
Oh
away.
my
With
God,
Atlantis,
sick.
nothing.
No.
No, Steppenwolf.
wish.
Yeah,
You
Steppenwolf
wish.
blows past them, and then the thing is, the mother box is taken. Mara does this thing, puts them in the fucking Phantom Menace bubble, and then she's just like, "You're back. Your mother. You can't talk to her like that."
Yeah, they like don't even talk about
Mara is
That's totally what it was.
Mara is completely calm. This box could destroy everyone she loves, and just like, you're back, it's good to see you. You can't talk about the Queen like that. What are you doing? Like, just the normal. What should have happened is he should have, for some reason, had a reason to go back to Atlantis, and then it just happened that while he was there, this
He
shit
should have
goes
just said
down.
that I need to check on these boxes if they're disappearing.
Yeah, fair enough. But he just goes there, and I don't know, it felt super random. That whole scene felt very random, and yeah, she was not good in that scene. I'm not looking forward. Maybe James Wan is a great director, so he can maybe pull a great performance out of her, but yeesh, I don't know.
It's a problem as well because I wasn't personally excited for Aquaman the character. He's just never really been a character that's interested me. So this movie, I'm not going to say it had to sell me because I'm going to go see Aquaman either way because of the podcast, but I feel like if there's people in a similar boat where they weren't sure how to feel about Aquaman, they go see Justice League, like, oh, that character's pretty lame, I'm not going to go see that movie. So I don't know, I feel like this could be a quite negative thing for the Aquaman movie. That comes out next year, I'm guessing?
Next December, so...
Next December.
I will disagree. I think there was enough for people to want to see a movie.
I think especially for
non-comic
book
fans. Because if it weren't for the podcast and I saw this, I'd be like, I don't give a shit about this character. I don't want to go see his movie.
I'll go the reverse where I think because he was on the back burner so much and the stuff that he was in was good, people go, oh, I really do want to see more of him because I didn't get enough of him in this. Where I feel like Flash, maybe people really like Flash, that's great. In our theater, people actually did not laugh that much at his jokes. I was surprised. I thought a lot of people were gonna. I feel that Flash would be like, you know what, I'm fine with him just being in Justice League. I do feel like Aquaman being in it less will make people want to go see it. Not the beginning stuff, because I don't know about that, but his ending stuff, the way he fought, he was really cool. I think there's some really good stuff you could do with the water aspect.
You could get into his like alcoholism as well too.
Yeah, like they should have spent time with him being like instead of really like diving into him being maybe a loner and wanting to be alone, he just kept saying, I want to be a loner, I'm a loner. I never got that vibe that he really wanted to be like. For me, I felt like they wanted him to be the Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, you always get the sense of, man, he fucking hates being around these people. Like, he just wants to be by himself. Aquaman feels like that guy who, like, likes a girl, but, like, pretends not to. Like, oh, I don't want to be with you guys. Like, I don't want to be on a team, but he really does. Like, I would like the other approach where, like, hey, I don't want to be here. I want to keep going back to drinking, but the world's at stake. I gotta help you. Where it did feel like he was...
I feel like that could have happened with a lot of the characters as well, too.
Yeah.
Like, give them a reason... You know, like, if they are alone and they feel like they are doing off their own thing, like, you even have Wonder Woman, like, just out in the shadows and, like, give them... I guess the mother box is, like, them coming together, but, like, give them, the characters, more reason why they need to come back together and explain it a little bit more of how they are loners, but they need each other to and work together instead of, like... Even though I could have even had the classic, like, them clashing at the beginning a whole bunch because they are loners and they only work solo. And then the only way to defeat the Steppenwolf is to actually all work collectively together.
Right.
Well, that's
instead of like Superman coming and OPing. Like,
yeah, he kind of saves the day for them. Like, they didn't need to be there. That's the thing when that first scene when they go into like the harbor and they fight all the parademons. It felt really quickly like they're already together. Like the Avengers, there's a big build-up, and technically the Avengers aren't the Avengers till like the very last thing of the movie. They all get together, and they literally are just like walking to the harbor, like, oh, we're a team now, like let's do this. So it's just like super quick, super weird. Like it didn't feel earned. There wasn't like we talked about that shot of like, man, they're together. It's just like, okay, we're together now. It's like, okay.
I would have really liked, because obviously you have kind of Flash and Cyborg kind of have this buddy.
Yeah.
You know, they're becoming friends, and then Batman and Superman obviously still have their thing going on.
And Wonder Woman and him too, kind of.
Yeah, but I feel like the third matchup is obviously Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and that's an interesting relationship because they both come from like similar sorts of worlds, and they have like ancient history and shit, and both places had the boxes in the first place. So I don't know, I think they really should have delved into like those two characters having a lot more scenes together, because that could have, I don't know, provided some interesting conversation.
Well, and in a throwaway line, they mention about, because at one point in the comics, and this is canon now, they say that the Amazons and Atlanteans, they eventually get into a war with one another way long ago, and he says it like, oh, you know, like, my people fought your people, but that's not me, I wasn't alive for that. Like, they've had, like, their cultures are very different. They divided after that, but it's just like surface level, like, oh, that happened, let's move along, you know, it's nothing.
I like their, like, combo fighting scenes. They kind of, like, at the end when they're fucking up Steppenwolf, like they were kind of fighting with each other, and like I don't know, I liked those two together, and
all that tag team should have just happened at the end.
We kind of did with Steppenwolf there, I think.
Kind of, yeah. But like again, like you said it earlier, they have the parademons that came in. They were all already a team working basically together.
Yeah, and there wasn't a breakup moment where
And
they
there was,
shatter.
like-
They just kind of got in a few little arguments and like we're fine.
Yeah, there was no real leader. It was just like basically Batman and Wonder Woman. Like, you know what? Like, we need a team. So like you take that person, I take this person, and then we'll just come together and just like us two will figure out what we're doing because we don't know what we're doing.
They
See
used that song as well.
I don't. Yeah, they didn't use it in the actual movie. I'm surprised. They used that in the end credits, but they never used it. I don't mind the aspect of there not being one leader. I just think they should have played up more as far as them being shattered. Like the end, that part where they bring Superman back, which will be a good transition. Like Aquaman is just at one moment when they're doing it, he's just like, I think Diana's right. We shouldn't do this. But it's like, yeah, but Batman and Cyborg, they're still doing it. Like, you guys are trying to stop.
During that.
They had a mini one, right? With Batman Wonder, but they should have been more like, there's no divine. It was just like, okay.
In the comics, is there typically like a leader of the group, or is it kind of
It's kind of
more collective?
It's kind of Superman. Like Superman because he's the big guy,
He's
right?
OP.
Yeah. So and the same thing in like Avengers as Cap. Usually it's like the goody two shoe guy is.
Yeah.
I'm the guy. But Justice League is usually a bit more of a unit. Like, but it's I think they had some fun stuff they could have played with, and I would have loved if they didn't build it in the previous movies to us seeing them together, but they should have built it more in this movie to finally getting them together, you know. But that didn't really happen.
Didn't really happen. No.
Talking about a build-up, let's talk about Superman. Big build-up for since BVS. We saw that Dirt Rise. We knew.
You ruined it in the non-spoilers. Like, we were talking about Superman. I was like, what?
That's what I held back from saying. Like, well, I didn't actually know if Superman was really going to be in this movie. So.
You didn't?
Well, I didn't know that he'd been in as much as he was.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided not to say anything about it in the non-spoilers. But to each their own, right?
Yeah. Some people decided to spoil it for everyone else. It's fine.
If you didn't know Superman was going to be in this movie at least for a little
That's
bit.
where those dislikes came from. They're like, what?
What?
He's in this movie?
2 dislikes.
Yeah, that's why. But where Superman? Where do we want to start? So obviously he was dead. Before you get to the character, I don't think his resurrection makes any sense because I felt he was the point of BVS was okay. He's like regenerating, or some people speculated that that's. Because as you saw, the boom tube where Steppenwolf comes down, right? So some people speculating that, maybe that's them taking Superman, he's going to come back evil. He was just dead, in his coffin, still with a lot of skin and whatnot, so maybe Kryptonians died differently.
Yeah.
But, I thought the resurrection scene was kind of weird. It was kind of lackluster. Just the resurrection scene. I liked what followed with the battle, but I feel like they retroactively changed what happened in BVS to bring him back.
Why was Superman still in his burial? He's Kryptonian. He's just... They dug him up. He should not be there in the ground where they just dug him up. Oh, there's Superman.
That's a good point, actually.
He
should probably be locked up.
He should be locked up.
Crypt or two.
No, I disagree, because they want his mother to have her.
But there's
somewhere some military.
There's so many criminals who would go dig up his body and sell it.
I can answer you this, is that when Superman dies, they never get his body. Batman and Wonder Woman have his body, and Clark Kent is not known to be Superman. They say Clark Kent, which they don't address in this movie. Clark Kent is back walking the fucking streets. In BVS, they say Clark Kent died in a building crash or something like that.
Yeah.
He died in the wreckage. So technically, the world does not know Clark Kent is Superman, so his body can just be in the ground. It's just a regular dude to everybody else. Other than Lex Luthor and Batman, no one else knows that.
It's not smart.
You can say that, and maybe it's not, but Batman wanted to give that body to his mom. But now, like I said, they don't address how Clark is alive. He's just moving back on in. He's walking around as a reporter. I love they do the classic shirt rip. That's great. That's back. But, I wish, what's the deal? They say he died. What's the... Superman, okay, sure, you can say he comes back alive, he's an alien, but... With Clark, they even could have said something like Bruce could say I took care of that, or something they could have said.
I don't know. They could have given a reason. I honestly don't really see the difference.
He might not.
What's the difference? How does he go back to
anymore.
work as Clark Kent?
He's going back to the same.
He's a new alias.
No, you can't say it. You can't say it. They can't do it. He's a man that died.
As much as you want, but I mean,
I know,
people
but
are-
What do you want them to
I think
say?
it's just gonna be
Oh, this
body-
man was found. He was not actually dead. Like, I don't really give a shit if
They
say
should
that.
because that's still you can't just throw the continuity because like oh that would be like whatever it just happened. No,
Because I just feel like it'd be a boring reason. So like, I don't care if they show it in the movie.
but it has
I can
to
come
be
up with
it
one.
has to be a
Probably just
reason
another
because
alias.
these
He's no
movies
longer Clark
because to
Kent.
me that brings down the movie even more so. It's just like instead of finding some reason of hey you wrote this you wanted to kill Superman and Clark you wanted to do this big punch. This to me is another safety thing of like now he's just back. Like no, if that happened in Marvel, we tear them to shreds. We tore Guardians 2 to shreds because this blue thing attacked Earth and they never
That's
explained
true,
that.
okay.
So I don't like they should
Yeah.
explain this too of like how's Clark walking around.
Probably
and
just another alias.
maybe he's Mark Ment, but still like in the next movie they better tell me why the fuck Clark is around being a reporter because
You know, he's just in a suit.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it's right
he's
at
a
the end of the
lawyer
movie,
now.
so maybe they'll answer.
Maybe he just
They
walks
won't.
around in
He's
suits.
not-
Maybe
they're
he
just
doesn't even have a job. Maybe he just walks around in a
just
suit.
walking around. They'll never explain
He's a
it. He'll
professional
just be there.
Clark Kent impersonator. Is what
Yikes.
his job title is.
Yikes.
Just panhandling on the streets.
Mhm.
But what did we feel about actual Superman being back?
So notoriously, I am not a fan of Superman. I think it's annoying how OP he is. I think he's really boring, and you're really close to my face.
Yes.
I think he's very
Yes.
like he's just super dry, and like I'm sure that's what
Super dry.
he's super dry. That's what the character's supposed to be.
Just like his dead body.
Just like his dead body. But you know, not really a character that interests me. So I actually was surprised that I liked him quite a bit in this movie. I liked the scene when he kind of is first cruising around in like his PJs and they're like at the memorial site or whatever it is, and then he's just
Rick
fucking them all up,
when he's
and
dead.
the scene, the Flash scene, obviously. And then I think it's kind of funny at the end that he just shows up and starts destroying Steppenwolf because they couldn't. Because I don't like that he's OP, but I feel like they kind of just embraced that in this movie, and they're like, you know what, we could make it seem like they're all on equal playing field, but really, let's just have Superman fucking destroy him.
I
And
think
I
they
honestly,
really embraced the
I was
fact
kind
that
of
he was
I was
just,
kind
like,
of okay with it.
incredibly strong.
I think the OP thing works when it's these world-ending situations. When it's just like
when he's
there's
the only hope.
parademons, yeah. There's a new god. Like I think it kind of worked there because even though we'll talk about Steppenwolf later, I think they actually did a good job of making Steppenwolf seem strong. Like his
Oh, yeah.
actions, like killing people really quick.
He was strong.
So I think
He
that
got all those boxes in like 10 minutes.
he did.
Okay, so to talk about the boxes. The third box, like, okay, Superman comes back to life. Like, you know, like, Steppenwolf is looking for these boxes. Like, why you just forget about it? Like, oh, we
Yeah.
need to all focus on Superman.
I
It's
think
like,
there was
Well,
like
because
an,
Superman was about
I
to
think there
kill
was
them.
like an unspoken thing that.
but see, but
as
all
soon
four
as
of them,
they
like,
act-
one of them could have been like, okay, like, let's grab the box before, like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
part of the
because
risk
he's looking
of-
after that, like, it just.
I feel like that's something like Batman should have known. That the risk of using the box to revive Superman would then attract Steppenwolf to the box.
Yeah, but like Superman was gonna kill someone. Like he was about to kill Batman when he was like, "Do you bleed?" Which I did like that.
That
That he
was-
threw
that was
back in
pretty
his
funny.
face.
Yeah.
I didn't like Batman quipping about it later,
No.
but I liked the "Do you bleed" line because okay, that
His
works.
voice sounded very like deep and husky.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
When
yeah.
he first
He,
started, like,
he was mad.
They dropped him down a
Oh
couple
my
octaves.
goodness.
He was ripped to shit, though.
He was.
Holy.
Congrats to
That's cool.
Henry Cavill and whoever his wife or girlfriend is, because man, he's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
That
spicy.
Lois Lane scene in the field where she just like keeps his hand.
Yeah. That's why though they make him be shirtless so much in these franchises. Like he has to. Like he has to be that yoked.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Getting
So-
paid millions.
So when Steppenwolf, I know we're talking about Superman, but I just have a question. So when Steppenwolf just like spawns out of the first box and like Themyscira, like what exactly happened there?
No, it's a
kinda
boom
missed it.
tube, and they use it to teleport to different areas in universes and whatnot. So that's what happened was, so the second, apparently like, the mother box kind of have a mind of their own. So the second I guess Superman died, the boxes started sending out like distress signals to the new gods, which would be Steppenwolf's, for him to go track and
So
find
he
them.
like channels. Into
Yeah, so he's
them?
been trying to track it down. That was when he got close to the box, was shaking. So that's how it was kind of like he was sensing it, and then he eventually found them. He found the other two a lot quicker, but the Wonder Woman box, like Themyscira, took him a little while. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe once he gets one box, it makes the other ones
Well, he gets a
strong.
little bit
Field
stronger.
power.
Yeah. Until
Okay.
Superman shows up, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And how you talk about him being OP? What did you feel about the Superman character? Because have you seen any of the OG Superman movies?
No.
You should watch those because you might like those.
Maybe.
You've probably seen some of the more recent stuff where they've not really knocked out of the park. This is very, very
Close.
close.
They knocked down an entire city, but
Oh, okay, well, woof. Wow, okay, woof.
He's
the double wow, okay,
He's
woof.
double woof.
This is very close to Christopher Reeve's Superman. It's a lot similar to Superman in the comics. When the moment I think that to me sums it up is when Cyborg and him bounce off each other and Clark's just like laughing after it happened, and there's a few times when he was fighting, he was smiling. I didn't really like that. I like when he smiled, but when he was
he had some creepy little smirks.
yeah, at one point he like smiled and then he like shot Steppenwolf with his lasers. But I was like, okay, the world's still at stake. Like, he can't be that happy. But I liked him being jovial. I
liked his connection with Flash as well. It was fun.
I'm the guy who lots of people are always like, oh, I didn't like Man of Steel because he wasn't a happy Superman. I don't give a shit because I'm not a big Superman fan. I wasn't a fan of Man of Steel because of some other writing aspects. But if they want to bring back the classic goody two-shoe, good old boy Superman, I think Henry Cavill has a great Superman in him, and we saw shades of it. I do want a Superman movie, not for him to be tied to a bunch of characters, not Batman v Superman where he takes back seat. I do want a Superman, and I want to see what Cavill has, and I really enjoyed him in this movie. They had some good quips. There's one moment where it's like Steppenwolf, I did like goes to punch him, and Superman like slowly moves away, and he's like smiling. Like, it did kind of work at times, so I think it can work if they do it right. It's the same thing as Captain America. He's a goody two-shoe guy, but if you write him good enough, you can make him the ultimate good guy, and I want to see more of him. And
Yeah, I think they did a good job with him in this movie. Shoutouts to Zack Snyder.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never shout out to
it.
him.
It was much brighter.
100%, really
Way
blue,
brighter.
and I kind of liked it.
I thought it fit.
Fans are definitely disappointed he didn't come back in his black suit. In the comics, when he comes back from death, he's in a black suit. But I think the only reason they did that because they're trying to make him really light and shiny. Like, he was already dark, so
I think it's a good
Batman.
Yeah. What?
you would have clashed with Batman. You mean?
Well, if they're both just wearing black suits.
It's a different black. It's much more like.
There's only one kind of black.
No,
It's like a dark
no.
blue.
Batman has like a
It's
gray.
like a dark blue. That's not black.
He has like a grayish black. Like Superman's black suit is just like charcoal black, and he has a super shiny S on his chest.
Super
Yeah.
shiny.
Super shiny.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is a good way of like kind of rebooting Superman. In a
Yeah.
way.
Because he came back to life.
He came back to life. He's a little bit different, and you can.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go.
No, it's fine. You can interrupt.
Kyle with the sass.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was
Make
just
it
gonna
count.
say how
Make it
with
count.
Man of Steel, how it was such like a dark vibe and it was very gloomy for him.
Oh,
With
yeah.
this and the way they portrayed him in this film, they can really move away from that and without like breaking lore and really just like take off and do whatever they want with Superman. They could go back to the dark stuff or they could continue with the more lighthearted stuff.
A little bit of both.
And even him being more OP, you can just equate that to, the mother box kind of gave him extra boost, right? Because you could, to me in this movie, this Batman and this Superman, you could never ever see Batman beating this Superman, because Batman's like a fucking fool sometimes in this movie.
He is
But in
quite
BVS,
cool.
it
The
felt
fool's
like
Batman.
they're on levels playing field because Batman was just as smart as Superman was just as powerful, you know, like they equal each other. Where this, it seems like, it might be a tougher time, but I think you can equate that to the mother box can change a lot of stuff with him. Or it's just that, hey, he came back to life and he's happier. Even that's what I said, I brought up at the beginning, I don't like, they tried to make it seem like he was always that happy though, right? With that cell phone video, they
That was kind of funny. Every time before answering,
that's the only problem I have with that they tried to, and I wish this would have more of an impact to me if he was nicer and friendlier in the older movies, because it would have felt like, we're getting him back. Where this is still like a newer Superman, like, is this still the same guy who fell in love with Lois? And I guess it is. Like, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, or bake their cake and eat it too, and we'll see if that works.
It's kind of interesting as well too, because they alluded to like Aquaman's like, he might be different like once you've come back alive.
Pet Cemetery, great reference.
Yeah, so you would think he would be eviler, I guess.
He was for 2 minutes.
For like 2 minutes, and then he's like, Lois Lane, say no more.
Hey,
Martha.
Hey man, Ash does crazy things to you, I guess, and that's what happens. He sees Lois, he's like, I'm a good guy now, and they fly off to Kansas and
back to Kansas.
he rehabilitates in 2 minutes.
yeah, he just touches
like
like
a good
You did this a lot quicker than I thought you would.
Yeah. And
Nothing like a good cornfield.
And a shout out to what he was wearing in the OG Superman movie. It starts with Clark as a teenager, and there's a scene where he's in a cornfield. Henry Cavill's wearing the exact same thing that he was in like the OG Superman. So
PJs?
They're not PJs.
It's like
It's like flannel and
flannel.
whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, the flannel.
Yeah, the flannel. Yeah.
I thought you meant when
yeah.
he was just had
It was just he's naked and had
yes.
no. So yeah, they had a couple nods to other stuff, and like I said, the classic Superman. And
Very classic.
I did like that, even though I'm not even the biggest Superman fan. Even though as I get older, I do start to like Superman more because there's been other writers that I can get into. I think the movie ending on him was a good call. That's the short rip and him flying off. I think that was fitting because I hope he kind of gets a bit more shine in these next few movies, and he's not the
Well, his he kind of started the movie as well, sort of.
True. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I mean, even though he wasn't really there, but they were talking about him and this like that line about hope and whatnot.
And then they go right to his funeral.
That's why I thought they were gonna go into that more, but that's like the weird thing is the last like scene, last like couple minutes is that like storyline of Superman bringing hope back to the world, and the Justice League is like this thing of
Which
hope.
is what you want.
Well,
That's kind of what I thought they were going for, and that's what they started with the movie, and that's how they ended it. But they really forgot about it through the midpoint of the movie, so it was a bit confused.
Well, the thing I said, I don't know what fucking paper Lois Lane is writing. Like, I get it's probably some piece about hope and Superman coming back, but it's like, this does not feel like this would be in any newspaper whatsoever. Like, it was super strange and super wordy. The other thing I want to talking about the beginning, I hated the opening credits of this movie. They're trying to show, like, people without hope and despair. This guy kicking over fucking oranges is the best thing you could think of to be like, man, we gotta show them death.
Those are some prime oranges.
Well, and then it's just like, it's one cop and he's just like pushing the lady.
I had a bruised orange. There is nothing
Yeah.
you could do about it.
Like,
I want a refund.
What are we doing? And Kyle can back me up as far as Watchmen. Watchmen, those opening credits are great. And that is, they really do show the world, what is happening in it, why it's getting like the nuclear war, like how it really feels like the end is now, right? That's the whole thing. Yeah. And you feel that doom and gloom.
It was the music too, right?
Oh yeah, some weird song. This just felt like
some weird song.
It was a cover of something, I can't remember. But this just felt like somebody, I don't know, didn't get a certain date that day and they were pissed off. Like, the things they were showing people being mad about were really minuscule. Where in Watchmen, like, he did such a great job of showing what the world was like. And this did not make it, okay, some people have some bad days about fucking oranges. Like, this is all we got. And I do gotta shout out, me and Dylan laughed because this has to be 100%.
It's a GeekVerse conspiracy theory, but
I think it's 100% true. Zack Snyder put it in there. They're showing all this stuff. They show a homeless guy. He's looking really down out and dirty. He has a sign, and it says, I tried. It switches shots. The next shot is just of the city, and it says, directed by Zack Snyder. 100%. I do think he put that in there. Directors do that all the time, and I think that's just him being, because he knows, they've all said that he's not going to be directing anymore after this. I think he knows that, you know what? People didn't love Man of Steel. Even more people didn't love BVS for some reason. And I think this was just him kind of being like, you know what? I'm doing Justice League. This is my swan song. I tried. You guys didn't like it. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. And if it is, I give him a golf clap for that. Because that's to me, just summed up what has happened in the DCEU so far, you know? I tried. And he did. And it, for some people it didn't work. And I thought it was quite funny. I don't think it's conspiracy. I think that's there's no way those shots are back to back, and
we'll get him on the podcast and we'll ask him.
Oh, yeah. He's going to love ZackSnyder'sGod.com. Anything more on Superman?
Nope.
No.
The big soup.
I did want to talk about one thing before we go probably into the villain. I felt the very beginning was very poorly paced with the jumping back and forth with everybody. I get that's what you do, but I felt the cuts were really quick, and I guess the big example we already touched upon, but was that Aquaman scene with Mara. I found in this stretch of like 20 minutes, I got Squad vibes of just like, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here, and it's like, it never felt like we had a moment to stop and breathe with these characters for a while. I just want to mention that because I was going to mention the top, but I felt the pacing was off for most of the movie. I felt the back half, I felt once Superman came back alive, they kind of figured out a kind of rhythm, but up to that point, I felt it was very all over the place. Like, I love seeing Jim Gordon, but even him coming in there, that felt very odd. Like, I know they said, like, oh, there's this perp. He's even to throw in this, like, oh, is that Batman? We don't have time. Like, let's not have some guy being like, oh, he looks like Batman. Do you think Batman's kidnapping people? Let's not even introduce this, like, pointless subplot of, like, Batman's going crazy anymore. So I really felt like up until Superman came back, all over the place, kind of jumbled and very messy.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think there's much.
Let's talk about maybe the greatest villain of all time. You got your Lokis, you got your Heath Ledger Jokers. Steppenwolf.
Wow. The
Steppen
motives,
Woof.
the backstory.
Yeah, the depth.
Just such a cool
my
character.
goodness.
I will throw.
Just slick and sleek.
I'll throw out 2 legit positives. I do feel like they actually made him feel very powerful. I
Yeah.
think his action scenes
They did
were
a really
good.
job of that.
CGI was standing. I think it was a little too much CGI. The second thing, I think the voice acting was really good. I liked the voice he had. I actually liked some of the lines he had.
Sometimes it didn't mesh well with the CGI
Nope.
of his mouth.
yeah, 100%. But I think the Singer Hines did a great job with the voice. It felt intimidating. I wish the character was not so basic, but I liked some lines he had. I liked that. But the rest of it was just cookie cutter. I need to destroy the world. They tried a little bit to do this. Oh, he's trying to prove himself to the other gods, but they say one line and that's it. We go across. My favorite moment was when Wonder Woman's like, they're already here. And we do like a hard cut to like, his name is Steppenwolf. He came here from this other planet. And it's like really awkward. Like Diana's talking normal and then she's like, he came and he destroyed people. And then that's when they set the whole like Lord of the Rings like retelling.
It kind of felt like they tried to do what they did in Wonder Woman a little bit.
Yeah,
And like
but
with the storytelling.
not
I
at
don't
the
think
beginning, in the middle of the movie.
I don't think they should have dropped his name there either. Like maybe even just not
Like
say.
Steppenwolf?
Yeah, maybe not even say his name like throughout the movie because Marvel's done that before and it can work sometimes.
I
But
guess.
maybe just drop it later or something.
They did
it just seemed a little like too obvious, I guess.
I think they're trying to say his name to establish him as he's a big danger from the past. Because even Themyscira, they're like, Steppenwolf was here, you know? So they're trying to show, like, he is intimidating. But, yeah, it was a really hard cut. But, yeah, he's just a basic villain in my books. He is, and I think he's close to a Malekith, like, really bad level. You know, he's no Blonsky. But,
He's no Blonsky.
no, I think he's lower as far as Marvel, DC, Fox. Like, he's pretty low. Like, nothing. The CGI didn't help. It was...
His CGI...
Age of Ultron.
I'm split on his CGI because I think he had some really good action scenes.
Yeah.
But I still don't really like his look. I love that scene on Themyscira, obviously we talked about earlier, of him chasing down that box.
That might be the best scene
and
in the
him
movie, to be
just like
honest.
him just chasing them and jumping, like it looked cool. I'll say I really liked his axe. Like I found anytime he was swinging his axe around, it had like cool effects on it.
And then Superman.
I really like the CGI of his axe in particular. So that's something. And then I like that ending scene where they all kind of team up and take him down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I feel about the fear thing, and that's what takes him out.
I didn't like. I felt like he should have a bit
Could've
more
been.
control over these parademons for them just to turn on him. And I felt it was very anticlimactic. Of like, okay, we really want to save him for a movie down the line.
From like
so,
a
he just gets
functional
sucked
standpoint,
up.
it's something that they set up. Like they mention fear a couple of times throughout the movie.
A lot.
So.
The movie has that one of those opening lines with Batman being like,
Yeah.
I hated what he said to the criminal when he's like, I smell it in you. And then they say that, they talk about fear smells a lot. And it's like, this was the punchline of the month when they were ever writing this, when they did the reshoots. Like, yikes.
That's what takes him out is fear.
Yeah. Steppenwolf, you guys?
He's alright.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add. I actually didn't mind the CGI that much, but I wasn't like super picky
I didn't
about
mind
the
it
mouth and
either. It's fine.
whatnot.
I've
It's
definitely seen
Yeah,
more CGI.
I found one thing I really liked was a lot of his lines either like hit really well, like he did a really good job of delivering them, or they were good enough. There weren't any lines that I felt like the delivery was awful.
Yeah.
Which sometimes comes up with villains and it just doesn't feel genuine or just.
Yeah, I mean he was a pretty basic villain, but at least they stuck to that, right?
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
just like I'm gonna conquer, and that's all I do, and that's my being.
And I think like his action scenes and like the way they showed just how powerful he was pretty great.
Mhm.
But I mean, very basic. But I mean, it worked out. I'd say.
I don't think it did.
He's just like a demon from hell.
I think if you were gonna have a basic villain, then you should have some more problems with the characters between each other.
Yeah.
Instead of just having, if you're not gonna develop your main villain, then why?
Especially in a team up.
And
Right?
especially in a team up, like there should be I guess there is
Some
a
sort
huge
of
reason,
conflict or
huge
something.
conflict going on. But
There
there's
should.
not really. It's just like, oh, I took the box. Oh, I took the box. Oh, I took this box.
And that's a disadvantage.
That's where it goes back to what you're saying of them playing it safe, right? They're just like, let's just have a villain who's a big evil dude who's gonna conquer the world.
Well, that's the disadvantage though now with these type of movies that we talk about this all the time. Like you look at like Logan and Deadpool and even Thor Ragnarok and some like Infinity War. Like they're doing things to change it up. Unfortunately, Justice League has come out at a time where there's been so many of the big villain trying to destroy the world. We gotta get from point A to point B. Like we've seen this movie so many times where it's like this is DC's first version of that. But I don't really think it is because I feel like we got this in Suicide Squad. You know, a team trying to stop this god.
We got this in both the Avengers movies. We got this in X-Men Apocalypse.
And that's what I mean. Where that's where the problem is. You know, that's unfortunate for them. But it feels even more basic. Of like they sat around and they're like, we need a villain. Let's do this and this and this. And it's like that's the Avengers. That's this. That's this. Like do something different. You know, that's where something like a Civil War happens. Where it's like okay, they're fighting amongst each other. Something like a Thor Ragnarok. Where okay, let's take them to a different planet and make them fight each other in like a gladiator or something. Like, I don't know.
You could even, like, this is something, you know, like the Mother Box, like, that could have been some, think about what Marvel's doing with, like, the Infinity Stones and how they've spread that out for fucking years. Like, what if this movie was just, like, I guess, like a...
Just a setup to it.
Yeah, just a setup. And maybe...
He's after one box.
Yeah, maybe he gets one of the boxes and there's, like, maybe a couple other, like, smaller villains or something.
Yeah.
And then that could work actually with how you introduce Aquaman later because you could be introduced to all those people and what's going on and their defense systems and maybe why they only have 5 bodyguards on this place. Yeah. You could go into all those
Takes out one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I do want, with the crossover movies, those should be the movies where the world is ending, right? But I think the problem that specifically with DC had, we're doing the Marvel Retro right now, and so far leading up to Avengers, there's no real world-ending equation or problem yet. In Man of Steel,
fairly personal quests.
Man of Steel, you had Zod with his like DJ machine, like his boombox, and he almost destroys the entire world. I think it's called like a engine or something. They call
Engine of Doom.
Yeah. They call it the World Engine, right? Yep. And it's just like so. The idea is he's gonna split a thing in the middle of the world and it's gonna break, and he can recreate and everything like that. Yep. So there's that. BVS, you got Doomsday, who's just like tearing everything apart. Suicide Squad, there's a beam in the sky. That's the thing, we've already had these world-ending scenarios where if none of that had happened, if BVS was just about Batman versus Superman and Lex Luthor, this would feel fine. But it's the fact that like I want the crossovers to be world-ending, but I don't. We've had that in the non-crossover, so now the thing is, you have to get better than that, and they didn't. They just settled for another. Oh, the world's about to end. Like,
but now it's 5 superheroes rather than 1.
Yeah, and like we know.
Like obviously. You know, Marvel and DC, they're trying to do different things, but before Marvel ever got to the point where they had like really grand stakes, obviously you already knew most of the characters, and they had like multiple movies even before you get into like these the grand issues. But that's I guess you just said, like DC's been doing that the whole time, so it kind of takes away from that. It doesn't seem as grand as it maybe should be, especially for the team up, big team up.
What else? Anything else we got to add on?
We talked about Lois Lane.
I was gonna throw in of like, she's just there. Like she's just
purely
there just to be. She's purely there just to be Superman's MacGuffin.
For a skilled actress, nothing there to demonstrate really.
Yeah, very little.
Yeah, I feel like she's just kind of there for a couple days. They did it, and then they tried to do it with. Throwing that scene with her and Martha, and I think you kind of needed that.
I think maybe, but that scene felt like it was like 5 minutes long.
Martha looked way younger than she does in.
You know when your son dies.
No.
Yeah.
Her face just looked like she had a lot of makeup on.
Yeah.
Like it looked way too like smooth because like in the previous like she had wrinkles and she looked older, and that was fine. But then she just like looked really young with a lot of makeup, and it's like this. Yeah, it feels weird.
Facelift.
I would like to go back to Superman.
You don't have to be sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Wherever you want.
Okay, fuck you too.
I guess when I went to this movie, my expectations was that something, like something would happen, that Superman would have to come and to help them out and save them, instead of them like trying to revive Superman in it's so early in the movie as well too.
I think it's halfway in the movie.
Halfway in the movie?
I think so. It's about halfway. It's only 2 hours.
Do you guys feel like it was warranted? Like you felt like that was the right thing to do?
No, I felt like it was really just like, what are we gonna do? We should bring back Superman. It was like, oh, we can just do that? Like
I actually kind of feel like it was warranted because they had the scene at the end of BVS where like the ground is floating and obviously he's not dead. So if that was something where they left the movie and it was like he is dead, there's gonna be people who think he's coming back. But they already made it like quite. I guess it was kind of ambiguous, but they made it somewhat obvious that he was already still alive.
But do you think they should have, like them as a group, used the motherboard to revive him instead of like we saw that jerk move? There should have been some other force that would have revived him.
Yeah, because it seemed like that. I feel like that hinted that he was going to come back on his own.
Yeah.
They wouldn't need something external.
Yeah, that seems a
to bring
little
back.
disconnected.
Yeah.
For
So I
sure.
was just wondering like what your guys' opinion, but
You know what would have been cool
I
if
just
they went to go uncover his body and like the dirt was just like floating. You know.
I actually
What
thought
if
when
he
they
wasn't
went,
there?
that's what I thought was gonna happen. I
He was
thought
already back.
that would have been much more intriguing. The only reason they 100% did is because they wanted a superhero fight in the middle. I get it. The first Avengers did that. Thor and Hulk fight. You want that. That's your money shots of seeing what.
Civil War
Like,
did
and
it.
I did like it when Superman and Wonder Woman were having like a headbutt fight, and then he like rose and just like boom.
Oh
Like,
my god, that was sick.
that was great. So
And then he just like bitch slaps Batman.
yeah, so you do need it, but I was hoping when they went there he was gonna be gone. To answer your question, it's just for me. I just still hate the ending of BBS. They should have never had the sand, whatever. They should have just had him fucking dead, and it would have been much more secret. We would have gone through months of knowing he's in there, seeing him on posters, but like, no, he's dead. Like he may or may not be in this. Like they should have just left it there because the sand thing had nothing to do with him coming back. Nothing. It's just again what I hope after this movie. Sit down and either decide, hey, we're just gonna do standalone movies and not worry about stuff, or if you're gonna cross over, because I want these characters to cross over again. I want to see them in a much more important adventure.
I want to see Green Lantern.
Well, yeah, I want to see a much more important adventure. Start planning this shit out. Like I said about Clark being alive, the dirt, everything. Like you can't just keep throwing stuff at the wall. Like we'll do this now, we'll do this now. Like they gotta plan it. I don't know if we're gonna get a Justice League 2 because I don't know how this is gonna do, but. I'm showing out the Green Lantern. I love that there was a Green Lantern in this movie.
I like that. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And they did the classic. They die, and the ring also went to somebody. So who knows who it went to? But I
Ryan
like
Reynolds. And then he died, and then it went to someone else.
maybe. But I liked the little battle they had there. You got to see You got to see Man and the lands, and like very similar like Lord of the Rings when like the Atlantis people like came off that boat and everything. Remind me of Legolas and Gimli when they jumped off.
Gimli?
Gimli. His brother.
Homester.
Yeah.
Hamster.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, Cyborg's dad was fine, he was there, but yeah, Lois Lane, I think she continues to be, like, a little underused, so once again, that's why I want a Superman movie. Let's see these characters, we'll talk about them in a second, but obviously Lex is back in full force, so, like, they've set the stage, like, okay, go make a Superman movie, you know, but for some reason I feel like they're always scared, because, like, people don't love Superman, make them love Superman. I think this was a right step. Unfortunately, I don't think he's in the greatest movie, so I don't know how many, like, if a lot of people are going to
I'm positive on him, though, so that's something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anything to do with the main movie? We talked about the score a bit. I liked the OG stuff that they had, the Batman theme, Superman theme. There's a few original stuff that I liked, but it wasn't, I'd say it's above average, I think. Didn't blow me away as something like Thor Ragnarok just did with, like, the synth 80 music, but like I liked the score. It fit. It jived with the movie, and it felt a little better than
just
less
got
generic.
overshadowed a lot because of the loud explosions and buildings crashing and whatnot.
And
People
parademons
yelling.
There was a lot of people yelling too, such as
Parademons.
Oh!
big water
I
drop.
mean, they might have said
Superman!
something
Superman! Pick up that water!
I wasn't thirsty anyway, so.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I forget. So.
Okay. Anything else on the score, you guys? Anything to do with general movie? We'll talk about the end credits in a second here, but
I think Tyler, did you say something about the Wonder Woman's theme when she started off?
yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
That's the only time
It
I
happens.
noticed the score at all.
Yeah, they had another cover song, I can't remember, and then come together at the end.
Yeah.
which is-
I also did not like that scene of Wonder Woman in that bank, whatever thing. That
The
felt
only
really
kind
cheesy.
of
I hated
cool
her
part-
shooting, and
I
she.
thought that wasn't that. I thought that was like the only.
Why is she still
The
shooting
reason
that
I
way?
wasn't-
Just turn.
The reason I didn't care much for that scene is because I felt like it was like I just saw Wonder Woman. I kind of feel,
Yeah.
even though I haven't, I just saw it
Yeah.
in theaters.
Like,
But I kind of just felt like it was more of the same of that.
yeah.
You know,
They
that's
kind of have to
think
do
it
that
was-
though, right? If
They
they
It
have,
was,
do,
like,
they do,
lesser,
but I
though.
don't know. I was like, eh.
you know, this
Compared to
reminds
the
me of,
Wonder Woman's action scenes, it wasn't as good.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of a lot? The intro was kind of Squad, where you had, okay, this is this person.
Oh yeah,
This is what they did,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
this person.
Yeah.
But those two people, I guess, like Wonder Woman and Batman,
Yeah, kind of
That
like
like
good shot on
their
it.
longest shots, and then everything was like, oh, here you go, oh, there you go,
Yeah.
just like quick, and
Oh,
there's,
yeah.
oh, Killer Croc, oh, yeah, okay, we're done.
I think you do need Wonder
Killer
Woman
Croc.
that scene though, because if there's anybody in the world that hasn't seen Wonder Woman, they get established to her the lasso of truth. Like you still gotta establish her, right? So like I get why it's there. I just wish it
Yeah.
was less cheesy of them being some sort of terrorist group, I don't know, they threw that in. It's just like, just have them rob this bank. And yeah, I hated the
They weren't robbing a bank. They were just committing suicide.
Right.
Suicide
Right.
bombing.
And that's like, I don't know if that was needed, but fair enough.
And she does like
The
the
bomb was
classic
supposed
cool
to take
dodge
out
the
like
bullet.
4 blocks of infrastructure, and it's just
Superman
like
just
throws up in like small explosions.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, it really wasn't that big of an explosion.
No.
eh?
I mean, we didn't see a lot of it.
No,
but
that's true.
I don't think there's a lot to see.
One thing that seemed weird in this movie is there.
One thing.
Well, one more thing I should say. Hey. Obviously, we already talked about how this is like a classic world-ending sort of thing, but there really isn't that many like. There isn't really any civilian casualties of any
No, they're always
capacity.
missing, and we had that
They-
awful subplot.
Yeah,
which
well,
we're gonna talk
They
about.
they have like that one group of hostages, I guess, that what's his face Steppenwolf is kind of questioning them, and then we have like I think at least 3 or 4 scenes of this random like Russian family that are just big
We're
children.
running out of food.
And yeah, they're running out of food, and like the parademons are coming to fight them.
There's some bug spray.
I think it's just
And
a
she never used the bug spray. I was waiting for the moment where Parademon comes up and she's sprayed in the eye. What was the point of that joke? Comedy. You set up the joke and then you deliver the punchline. They didn't even do that.
So now-
Easy joke.
Why did the
Sometimes you just gotta
Parademons
only
not
do
just like go
punchlines,
through the
no setup.
wood?
I don't know.
I think they're just shouting out to when. Here we go. And was it?
Oh, here we go.
In Avengers? No. Was it Thor? Yeah, Thor.
X-Men.
The last one. In Thor, when they took out the entire like Slovakian like city or whatever.
Slovakia.
You mean when Asgard and then they did the Foundations joke?
No.
No,
You're
yeah.
talking about
in
Avengers 2.
Age of
Is
Ultron.
Avengers-
Yeah,
is
you
there
said
the
last
Ultron?
Thor.
The
yeah.
Slovakia.
Where they pick up the city and drop the city.
Oh yeah, I forgot that we just watched the new Thor.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
like, I don't think
okay,
I don't think
Ultron.
I'm like, I
that
don't-
town,
Yeah.
and then like everyone dies, and they're like, hey, you know what? These people, maybe they're like from the same type of area, and we're saving them instead of letting them die. Maybe it was.
I get it, but I didn't. That could have.
I'm just being devil's
They
advocate.
could have the same scene of
I
Superman.
appreciate
I'm
it.
talking out of my ass. I'm sorry.
They could have the same scene of Superman going to civilians, and then you go and you see, oh, there's some in a building and some driving away. You go left, I go right. They didn't need, like Dylan said, 3 to 4 scenes of them just like the dad loading the gun. It's just like,
Yeah.
ugh, I hate. It's just like
Yeah.
Amazing
And then they have
Spider-Man
like
2.
some majestic scene, and he's like standing on the truck, and it zooms up.
Oh.
The one positive from that thing is the only other Flash joke that I liked, where Flash like uses his powers to push their car down the street, and then it like zooms up, and Superman's just like carrying it.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
Well, that's what they gotta do with Superman from now on with his power, with using him OP. You have the OG movies, which
Oh yeah, I love that. He's just like making a joke of how strong he is.
that's what you gotta do. You gotta do.
He's like pushing them as
You
well.
gotta do like the Hulk thing, like
Mental.
they did in not make him like a baby, but in Ragnarok, like how they made kind of a joke, and I feel like they did that in this movie. And I want to see more of that because you can't have those dramatic OP moments, but I think if you keep playing it with comedy, that works really, really well, and I hope they continue
Yeah.
that. So the OG Supermans, of course, it worked better then, but that was like the first time you saw a man flying. So it's like, oh, this is amazing. We've seen men fly, like do a new twist to it, and I think him being a bit more fun with it and them being a bit more coy, that could work
Yeah.
out. So.
I mean, yeah, that's the only time I liked the Flash is when he was with Superman doing shit.
There you go, Superman Flash.
Buddy cop film, let's go.
What call
That'd be sweet, you know.
So let's talk about post credits then. So
Sure.
I do want to mention one thing. I had heard a few people. I didn't listen to any full reviews, but I listened to a lot of podcasts and people had seen Justice League. Lots of people like beefed up these credit scenes. I think they're really good, but some people are just like, man, you gotta stay. This is not fucking Thanos looking back at me like, oh, he's the next villain. They do set something up, but like I don't think it was mega huge any scenes. The race scene is great because that's I was telling Dylan, if you don't know, it's a classic comic book cover. They made a big deal about Superman and Flash racing. It was a big event in DC Comics like way back in the 60s. So I thought that was fun. I almost would like them to do a little more. Like I guess I know they stopped with them like slow motion like that, but I would have liked even 30 seconds of seeing them like finally go through the world and what like I liked it, but I wanted a little bit more of that.
I have a quick question, completely unrelated to the post-credit scene.
Okay.
Well, not completely, but what did you guys think of like Flash's slowed down time like perspective? Like I guess compared to like Quicksilver. Obviously, Quicksilver is quite different. He like puts on a song and does some cool shit. But what did you think of it? Because I found it kind of underwhelming.
I like it a lot actually. I love the thunderbolts around him. I like the lightning. I like
That was sweet.
the way like, with
I
the
hate
bat-
how he runs.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting to say that.
It's because he's in a
looks
studio
really
and he's
weird.
like he's on a treadmill and they're just filming on a green screen. But yeah, I loved it actually. I liked it because I think they did a good use of. Sometimes they showed his perspective of like going slow motion and touching the sword, where then other times they showed him just speeding around and you're like, oh, where is he? So I like you got both.
I think
you got both
for
perspectives.
me, there's sometimes where you didn't know whether he was still in like his Speed Force mode or he was normal mode because. There was a time when he was like it looked like he's in a Speed Force going super fast, but then you can see Batman reacting to where he's falling and shoot a grapple for him.
Yeah, that one
And,
was a little
you know,
weird.
that-
And then the
That was
way
the
when
only
he
one.
touched Wonder Woman's sword and she reacted to it instantly and grabbed it, whereas literally
I'll give
nothing
it the
else
benefit. She's
is
a
moving.
god. You know, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, yeah, like that was not as bad, but there are a couple of times where it seemed like he was still in it, but then people were kind of reacting in ways
fair
they
enough.
shouldn't
it
have.
wasn't perfect. Yeah.
I thought it was
So-
great.
You guys have anything to add on the race scene though? The first post-credit scene.
I thought it was alright.
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't know. I still
I
don't
think
like
it's-
how he runs.
I think
I
it's
don't,
the
I don't like how he
perfect
looks
fit.
when he runs, so it's like.
It's the perfect fit for a first post credit scene. You have two of them.
But yeah, I think it was
It's just like a quick little goofy little sort
overall.
of thing. With
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say it's
they
good
do
enough.
the reverse of Marvel. I always say I hate that Marvel leaves the comedic one in the end. It should always be comedic first, then serious one. So.
Way to go, DC. Reinventing the meta.
Were you saying something? Because
You look like you have something on the tip
I-
of your tongue.
Can we talk about the next one?
You talking
Do you have
about
anything to say on this one?
No.
Okay, you start off second end credit scene.
Woo! Deathstroke looks so sick.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Oh man, just how he walks right off that boat and struts his stuff, walks
He
up.
got his fucking bandana thing
Bandana.
flinging or whatever.
Oh man, his armor looks amazing. Oh, I'm so film. Let's go. I'm ready for Deathstroke. Screw Luthor.
Wow!
Screw
Screw Luthor. Wow.
Hashtag screw
Maybe
Luthor.
Luthor
Screw
can be
them
there.
all that.
Yeah, I'll go next. Deathstroke. He's a great he's a great DC
Yikes.
villain. He's very much like kind of the bad version of Batman. He has a great story. I'm looking forward. There's rumors they're gonna even do a solo movie with him, which I don't want. I want him to be a villain. But either way, I think he's going to be used as a villain at some point. I will take the different approaches with BVS. Lex Luthor was, I think, one of the worst, I would say, top 10 villains of all time for me. Before
Regardless
Leto.
of comic book movies or just.
Okay, I'll just stick it to comic book because there's a lot of trash villains out there in the world. But for comic book villains, and then Leto came around, then I gave Eisenberg a break. But I still remember every time I've seen BVF, it's still tough, and it's not like it's very much like Batman. It's not the Lex Luthor I like. It's not. I get they went a different route, but it's not for me. He had similarities in the scene, but I am I'm not very excited. I'm very intrigued to see him actually come back when I don't think I would have been saying that last year. Because already, that does not feel like the Luthor in BVS. He has shades of the way he talks, and like he kind of says like, oh, you're on the boat, how's it going? But then he goes into like, when he's like, oh, like, what are you wasting my time? He's like, I'm alive, I wouldn't waste my time. I can't remember, he says a good line of something like, are you wasting my time? He's like, no, I'm alive, like, I got a lot more to do than waste my time with you, or something like that. Like, he was pronouncing and saying things in a Luthor-like way, the way he had a suit on, even the way Eisenberg was carrying himself, and the way he was sitting or moving with his drink. And this was background stuff with all the girls around it. Like, if you didn't notice, there's a hot tub and all these girls are in it. Like, they 100%, whether that was always the plan or they looked at it and they went, hey, people aren't digging this, let's go the comic book route. I think Eisenberg can pull this off. And this is someone that hate Eisenberg. I see that, I'm like, that feels like Lex Luthor. Or it feels like we're getting to that Lex Luthor. And I'm willing to give him another shot. I'm very excited to see. I think he can be very menacing. If you watch Social Network, he's great at being a conniving little shit, but he's also great at kind of being a little scary at times and being very intense. And they didn't do that, I felt, with BVS. He just was really kooky and really cheesy.
Yeah.
I think that got me excited. Deathstroke, yes, of course I'm excited, but that got me more excited because this is something I did like, and I maybe will like it as we...
I think I got out of Lex Luthor a little bit because of just the line.
Yeah. The line you didn't like, are you going to say it, or do you know what to say?
I can't remember the line.
The line was, I said, no, even the great...
Oh, no, we should form a
league of our own, yeah. Even the great Marlon Brando, Resurrected, could never make that line
As it
work.
pans out, you see the yacht.
Oh, it was awful. Like, you could have just, like, had them
Yeah.
just, like, meet and you, like, knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Didn't need
There
to
was
be-
definitely like 2 times where I thought the post-credit scene was gonna end, and it just kept going.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
they were gonna do the reveal in the jail cell, and it was like done.
Yeah.
And then it showed Deathstroke coming up to the boat.
Yeah.
And they
It
just
looked
showed,
like it
and
was
then
gonna be the end.
all it does is show Deathstroke on the boat and with Eisenberg done,
Mhm.
and then keeps going, and then it's like, and then I thought they were gonna cut like at some point in their conversation, but it's like nope, keeps going. And I don't know. There's just like a lot of like just like 1 second where you think they just like there's no talking and it's just you're just like okay, this is gonna be it, and then they bring it back and keep
Yeah.
going, keep going.
And before
Big fool.
before you pass over to Dylan, what I will say is, because I didn't even say, what the scene is kind of setting up is, in DC Comics there is a group that Lex Luthor leads called the Legion of Doom, and it is just the Justice League of bad guys. He puts a bunch of bad guys together for all different villains and whatnot. So I think that's them implying that's where they may be going with Justice League 2, is a kind of Justice League versus Legion of Doom. And I'm quite excited about that because that's something Marvel has yet to do. Some people shit on the idea of like, oh, I don't want a bunch of villains versus a bunch of heroes. I do when we have like them versus just cannon fodder aliens and
Well,
whatnot.
look at Civil War where they fought each other.
Civil War, not Silver War.
I said
That's a
Civil
different
War.
movie. Okay. No. Well,
You hear what
exactly.
you want.
That's a good point though. And if DC could beat them to that, that's when we talk about do something different with the world-ending movie. Them like, I do get scared of who they're gonna bring in for Batman because we only have one Batman villain right now, and we all know who that is. And I don't know if I really want to see Joker in a Justice League movie. I feel like Eisenberg can.
What if he died instantly though? Wouldn't that be?
Oh, that'd be
hilarious?
perfect. I'll let Batman kill one more time if it's just Leto. But
Wow.
I'm for this idea of big group of heroes versus big group of villains after what we got.
Yeah, of course. That'd be fucking sweet.
Mhm.
I'd be down with that. Yeah, I don't know anything about Deathstroke. Other than I think he looks pretty cool. I've never actually seen him before, and I don't know anything about him other than what Travis pretty much just
Badass
told.
guy.
Pretty fucking cool.
He's pretty fucking cool.
He at one
what-
point beat the
what
Justice.
actor is that?
Joe Manganiello. So he is a Magic
Joe.
Mike. He played the original Flash Thompson and Spider-Man with the Tobey Maguire one that gets punched up against the lockers.
God,
The
okay.
second you saw him, he's really beefed up. He was in Rampage, the trailer. He was the guy who was like had the brown hair. He had a gun. He was shooting at the sky. Like
I'm supposed to remember that.
I don't know. I was just it was only a few hours ago, but he was an actor that a lot of people.
So did people know that he was cast as that character?
Yes. It was
Like
announced because
previously?
he was supposed to be the villain of Ben Affleck's Batman.
Right.
And that's no longer happening.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now there's rumors he's getting his own movie, and he was a fan choice that lots of people wanted him to play Deathstroke, and it happened. So
Cool.
fans are very happy with this. So
Nice. Yeah, I don't know much about the character, but he looks cool, so I'm down to give him a shot.
yeah.
And I'm always down for team up. Eisenberg, obviously, there's not much from BBS that you can latch onto and enjoy, but I like that actor from other things I've seen him in. So
Did you guys get the different vibes that I did at
Yeah,
all
well,
in that scene?
honestly,
Yeah,
I didn't simply because I've only seen BBS once
Fair
in
enough.
theaters,
Yeah,
and I haven't
that's
watched
also
it since.
true.
So I honestly don't remember a whole lot of like why I didn't like him in that movie.
He does that a lot. Like he's very and he
I-
puts cherry
I
like,
remember-
candies
yeah,
in the guy's mouth.
And the way he like talks in BVS, it's almost like
This is a box,
skippy.
and the box is here, and the box is gone, and
Now there's 3 boxes!
Yeah, Superman.
But the thing with Lex Luthor is I also have no previous investment. I don't know anything about. Obviously I know the name. He's a big name, but I've never read a comic or seen a movie or a TV show with
We
that
gotta get
character.
you watch the OG Superman movies. That's what
Probably.
we do. But we'll do that for a
It'd give me
cast.
some well-deserved perspective because I really don't know anything about the character. So even if he's acting weird, I can see he's acting weird, but I don't actually know like what the character should be like. I
Yeah,
guess.
I've always said he's the reverse of Batman, where Batman is like a good person as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, he kind of plays off like he's a dick, so people don't think he's Batman. Lex Luthor is the reverse, where in public he's a very charismatic. The best way to describe it is he's the Rock. Like Lex Luthor is
Like
very
Dwayne?
charismatic. Everyone, like you'd love him, you'd want to be with him.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor becomes president at one point, but then like Lex Luthor behind closed doors is like a shady motherfucker who's like trying to rule the world. So
Sure.
yeah.
I like I like his suit that he's rocking. I like the scene in general. Like it had nice cinematography to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a solid end credit scene.
I'm excited to see who the villains are in if this does happen, because there is a part of me that wonders if this never happens, that movie. But if it is, I do think obviously you got these two. I 100% I don't like, but I do think Jared Leto's Joker would be in this because it's the Joker, and you would bring him in a villain team up. And there's these.
I'm already trying to picture it, and it doesn't fit.
I
I
don't know, my brain of thinking about a scene of Eisenberg and Leto together. Like Eisenberg's at least calmed down now, but like before, it's like my brain would explode thinking about that.
Maybe Eisenberg just kills Leto.
I'm down for all these scenarios of killing Leto. Maybe you get Will Smith in there as Deadshot. Like you could get maybe Taylor's
The
Killer Croc.
one saving grace for Leto is that he turns into his character from Blade Runner, and it's like, okay, I'm down to see this.
I'm trying to think, what other villains do we have so far that aren't dead?
in DC.
Yeah, like Doomsday's dead, Zod's dead.
Suicide Squad, those are all villains, right?
Yeah, Katana, bringing Katana to take on Superman. I can't
Sword.
wait.
Sword.
Do we have any thoughts on anything, Justice League, before we get into our final thoughts and a rating, if you want to give one?
I think not.
No?
I think it's all been said.
We did good.
Okay. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Kyle.
So this movie was alright for me. I thought, again, just to reiterate, we've touched on a lot of good points.
Reiterate or reiterate?
Reiterate.
Okay.
Boom.
Curious.
Is that what it is?
I was simply curious.
If that you said it the
Yeah.
second time.
Successful.
Second time.
Yeah.
Reiterate.
A+.
Yeah.
Either way,
Anyways,
we've said this before.
I'm over it. I'm over it. Okay. I thought
Superman!
Superman.
there's a lot of good parts to this movie and a lot of not so good parts, and I kind of just came into it not expecting much and came out of it not expecting much. I thought it was just I came out of it alright. Like
Yeah.
it didn't blow me away, but I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. I thought it was just an alright movie. I think if you enjoy, again, like I said before, if you enjoyed BVS or kind of like this genre of what DC is doing, then you'll enjoy this movie.
Will you though?
Yeah.
I feel like this is still a little tonally different than Man of Steel and BBS, and I could
guess so.
feel fans watch this and be like, "That's not my DC." Like that's
I guess
the
so.
quips and like even the first 10 minutes, like this doesn't feel like the other DC movie. So
That's true.
honestly, let us know if you love Man of Steel and BBS, not Squad, because that's some weird like Abomination thing. If you love those ones, because these are Zack Snyder ones.
Some weird abomination.
Yeah, I'm talking
thing.
Zack Snyder films. If you love those two, let us know what you think about this one.
If you're a frequenter on ZackSnydersGod.com,
Yeah. That's no.
a certain demographic.
Do you have a score?
My score is gonna be 5.5 out of 10.
I thought you were going like 7 for a second.
Really?
5.5.
I knew you were
was-
going for a hard 6. But
I was thinking of hard 6.
There's no way
It's
this
just like-
gets a 7.
It was just an alright movie. Like
Right.
that's really just what it wasn't bad. It
Your
was just
reviews were like
alright.
it's alright on a 0.5, you know? Because it's not 50% of the
It's
You
not
give it an
an
extra 5.
0.5. You know, so
Yeah.
it was just an alright movie. I think you might enjoy it. You might not.
You might enjoy it.
It's up to you.
Put that one on the DVD cover. You might enjoy it, you might not. Justice League. You know, I can go. It's tough. I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. Just not even just for the DCU, just as like a kid. And it definitely did not deliver. This is not the Avengers. It's not the Dark Knight. I'm very disappointed with this movie, but I kind of had those expectations going in. We talked about before. Superman and Cyborg I liked. Batman I'm really disappointed. And Wonder Woman I liked too. I liked Aquaman, but I want a bit more Flash. I think it was a big misstep, but I think with the right director we could get a more bounce Flash in the future. I don't know. I guess my final thing is more about I don't know what the future holds for this DC. And I think that's where I always bring up like a broken violin, but I think that's where Flashpoint is going to play a huge point. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff changed in the next few years, like including Ben Affleck as Batman. Already today, you've heard the rumors about Jake Gyllenhaal, and lots of people are excited about that. So it's
I'm extra excited.
the day of release. It's already like, hey, there might be a replacement. So
That's not good.
and I think it's warranted because I was bored a lot of this movie, and I'm excited because I love these characters. I've attached them since I was a child, but I didn't leave this being like, man, I can't wait to see more of the DC universe. You know, Aquaman, I'm excited because I like Aquaman, but I didn't leave. Wonder Woman, I did. I left like that was great. I'd like to see more. This I left the same way as Squad, the same way as for me, Man of Steel. Where like I sat there for 2 hours. I didn't get me anywhere. I'll watch this maybe one more time with somebody else, but I don't think I'll watch this unless we do like a retro in 5 years. Like I have no reason to watch this again. I'm excited to see. I'm intrigued to see where the future goes, but I don't know. I don't know what you do. Either start planning or you got to make a new game plan. I just want to start loving these movies. I want to start or even I want to start really liking these movies like Wonder Woman or Thor. Thor Ragnarok to me was not the greatest comic movie of all time, but I really enjoyed it. Even if I really enjoyed this, and I didn't, so I'm going to give this, it's going to be harsh, people are going to hate me, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. I'm going to fail it because to me, the reason I gave BVS a 6 is because there's more good than bad for me. This is the reverse where there's more bad than good for me. So, unfortunately,
adds up.
And even that, I'm not a big Man of Steel fan. I like Man of Steel more than this because I just like, it's less messy, it's a cohesive story. This is very messy. I don't want to see this ever happen again. I know there was stuff that happened to Zack Snyder that was unforeseen circumstances, but I hope in the future, let's make a game plan, let's stick with it. Justice League 2, I'm ready for you if it ever happens. I'm here. I'm waiting to be impressed. I love DC, but unfortunately,
we'll go see their movies.
We talked about that in Dynamic Duo quite a bit as well too. How we just want
that cheap plug from Kyle.
Let's go. That we want more like DC just to more think out, have a plan of what they're gonna do.
A tone.
Like an idea, so it's just kind of this movie just hits it on the head again, where it's like just have more of an idea where you want to go with these movies instead of just throwing everything out. I get it, you're trying to play safe, you know, like
and make that money.
Make the money, like you don't want something that's awful, and you don't want if you want something that's good, you really gotta go outside the box at this point.
But I don't know if they're achieving that because on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten again, 37%. It's not even playing it safe. I feel like people are we don't want safe anymore, you know. And I was gonna say, it's a weird.
Wow.
I was gonna say something before you guys went, but
I didn't say anything.
I don't know, but that's the last thing I was gonna say. Superman.
I'm sorry.
Aquaman is the only DC movie, and that isn't coming out until December next year. So I think they have a good amount of time. That's almost
really. There's nothing in between.
Nothing else.
Huh.
So they literally got a full year.
I think they might surprise drop something.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's what I was gonna say.
But if they don't, I think that's great that they have almost a full year just to focus on promoting Aquaman. And now look at what people liked and didn't like and move forward. So
you have a year to think about it. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. That's going to be a lot of podcasts.
Marvel doesn't have that time, but luckily they did,
No, they
they
don't.
did that thinking way back when they were making an incredible piece of shit Hulk.
Oh, come on! Did you like this better than Hulk or not?
I like. Oh yeah.
Oh my god! No!
Yeah. If I, cause
no!
Actually, you might as well just keep talking about.
If I rated movies with numbers, I'd probably give Hulk like a 2 or
or
something. That movie was shit.
Check out. Well, don't spoil the Marvel Retro. Check that out in a few weeks.
If you want to find out why, anyway.
Head over to Patreon.
But back to the movie at hand. I think this movie to me is kind of like the description of like a 50-50, like right in the middle kind of movie, because out of like the main cast, I liked half of them being Superman, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman, and I disliked the other 3. So
you would say you dislike Aquaman?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. No,
yeah. I was
just clarifying, Mr. President.
I really wanted more from that character.
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
It's a writing issue.
The soundtrack had like a couple good moments, but like it was kind of just split once again. Story was super basic, but it was at least functional for the most part. The villain, I mean, he was kind of lame, but he had like a couple cool action scenes, I suppose. And I don't know, this movie, I don't know, there was some good scenes. There's probably more, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, there's probably more negative than there was positive, but I'm going to put, I don't know, to me this is a movie that sits right in the middle. I don't think you need to see this in theaters. Watch it on Netflix with some friends and make fun of some lines, and Superman! That's a great line. I'm sure that'll pop up in the Golden Geeks this year at some point, but Superman. Yeah, that's what I gotta say.
I'm gonna give it like a crumbling 6.
A crumbling 6.
In that
See, it's a 6 now, but in 2 weeks it'll be.
Yeah, no, I feel like
0.
if I watched it again, it would be maybe like a 5 or a 4. But I think the first watch is good enough, and I'm happy with it. There's like a lot of weird, they did some good things, they did some bad things. There's a lot of development that I would have liked with some characters that they just didn't do, and then there are other characters that it was alright, like Cyborg was pretty good. So it has ups and downs. I thought they delivered well I thought the villain was good enough for what they had. I didn't think there was too much wrong with him, but it was a very low standard, but they met that standard. So there you go.
It worked.
I thought Wonder Woman honestly was fairly disappointing in this film compared to her standalone film.
It's writing.
Batman wasn't even. I agree. It probably wasn't writing, but like I expected a lot more from her. Batman didn't even feel like Batman. It was Ben Affleck in a bat suit. Like when it was just Ben Affleck, just as Bruce Wayne.
It was Ben Affleck.
It wasn't
that meme of just going.
There's no like.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie had a Bruce Wayne in it. It was just Ben Affleck.
I didn't.
That's what it felt like.
I was looking for one.
Yeah, like there's one Bruce Wayne moment when he was sitting in the Flash's little hideout.
Yeah.
That was like a Bruce Wayne moment.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was Ben Affleck just doing Ben Affleck things.
He's just
and
hanging
not
out.
really-
Taking in
Yeah,
that sweet
you know,
paycheck. He was just there to take his
exactly.
paycheck. That's all.
I really enjoyed. I think all the fight scenes. I thought it was great. CGI was good enough. So I can't I enjoyed the film enough, more than I expected to. So I can't give it a failing thing. And last
More than you expected to,
last
for
week.
Saints.
Last week we gave Murder on the Orient Express. I rated that, but this was better than that a little bit. So I think if you're a
Spoilers
comic
for
book fan, you should. I think you should see this movie. Maybe not go see it full price, cheap Tuesday, or seats on.
Sneak in.
Well,
streaming
hopefully they've
service.
watched this long. They have seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's as far as like comic book fans go, it has enough stuff in it to be enjoyable. And one thing I was saying it's kind of like the Warcraft of comic books.
Yikes, that's not good.
That's not good.
No.
It's not good at all.
Warcraft
Okay.
is an awful movie.
Yeah, it's shit.
Yeah, well, that's my comparison.
It's like
so.
this isn't that shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, for non-comic book fans, it might be though,
Yeah,
because
it
I
could
feel
be.
like I rated Warcraft really poorly because I didn't follow that stuff very much, so it
Yeah.
made no sense to me. Whereas for people who don't like comic books, a lot of this might just be really shitty.
But it's a movie, right?
So
Yeah.
You pick your medium.
Yeah.
You pick where these
Okay.
things go.
yeah,
I don't know.
there you go. Yeah, I feel like it gets worse every time you watch it, so just watch it once.
Has that 6 crumbled at all in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, honestly, it was crumbling this entire time. we were watching. I almost gave it a 5 just because of like
Well, that's
all
what
that
crumbling
stuff you
6
guys
is. It's 5.
brought up. So you
Or
know,
less.
Yeah.
if we keep talking about it, it might go down.
But let's not, because it's late. Now I'm going to go to bed.
Well, it's only fitting that after all these years of conversation about DC and how messy it was, that this film would be messy, and it kind of lived up to its standards. You know?
Can't fuss with the muss. That's what I always say.
And you know what? To me, this is another landmark cast. Because to me, there were some things I've always said, like Star Wars and Defenders. This was another one on the list of like, I can't wait till we get there, and we're there. You know, next one for me is Infinity War. Like I'm
Yeah.
checking off those boxes. I was like, we just reviewed the very first Justice League movie. That's a big thing. We're gonna be looking back at that in 10 years of when they're making Justice League the reboot 6 with Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield as Batman. We'll be like, oh, we were there for the first one.
We're there.
Anyone want to take the role of Taylor and tell the folks where they can find us?
Yeah,
on
sure. You
Twitter?
can.
That has a very good way to do it.
Yeah, but I like to do it a lot quicker. So
Yeah,
you can
no,
hop
I like
over.
the way you do it.
You can
Like
hop
the
over to.
Flash.
You can hop over to Facebook. I don't care how you fucking get there. Taylor seems to care.
Run like the Flash.
Run like the Flash.
Superman!
That was good.
Boom.
That's a new.
Booyah!
That's what we look for in the GeekVerse. That's all these 2.5 whatever years all culminating to that Superman. Anyway.
I'm bleeding somewhere.
Cruise over to Facebook, GeekVerse.
Fuck you, Batman.
Put GeekVerse podcast, put GVP. That might not work actually.
GVP. I just sounds some gang.
Yeah,
I
well, the
do want to
GVP,
mention
the cool
gang.
geeky gang where we review Justice League. Yeah, that's where you can find us on Facebook. And how about elsewhere, such as Twitter?
Twitter, you go there, geekverspodcast.com, most importantly, where you can find our YouTube videos, like Twitch will hopefully come back soon, I don't know, we were working on live streaming.
Did you say YouTube is where you can find all the YouTube videos?
Yeah. But the video, the podcast subscription, you can literally go anywhere. iTunes,
Anywhere.
SoundCloud. If you
Open
can't
up.
find a podcast on your subscription, hit me up and let me know. But so far, I don't need to throw out all the other plugs because it's there. Our podcast on places I didn't even know fucking existed when I searched GeekVerse. It's kind of fucked up.
Podbay, as Canadians, we're not allowed to go on that site.
Yeah, we can't
We're
even
still
go
on
to
there.
Podbay, but we're on there. Then most importantly, if you liked what we did here, if you're DC fans, I'm sorry, you probably hate this, but you know what? At the end of the day, remember, this is a movie. It's all for entertainment. It's all for fun. If you're making death threats about this to people because they didn't like your movie, go fuck yourself with a huge screw that has multiple other screws sticking out of it, and then you can talk to Batman about how you're bleeding everywhere. Thank you very much for tuning in. Later on this weekend, we
Quite the
are
outro.
reviewing Punisher. That'll be a big one.
Yeah.
Enjoy Punisher. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. We'll be back at some point in the future. and it won't be boring.
Woo! Superman!
Superman!
Later, nerds.
Yikes.
Drew said if you're DC